means that she can start telling me I'm number one using her fingers in a particular one. So
is there a listener who would disagree with me?
Yeah,
I'm thinking not.
There you go.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
Did you just flip me off?
No.
Yes, he did. He just flipped me the bird. Now, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't shape up, okay, and get your head straight, there, you just flipped me off again.
107.5, The Game.
And it is Reaction Monday, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen, as we get you up, get you going, get you ready for another work week. Unfortunately, now basically for a lot of people, a 5-day work week after a nice 4-day Labor Day work week last week. And a little bit different this morning. We come into the studio off of a 44-30 Arkansas victory in Fayetteville Saturday afternoon, a game in which South Carolina once again does not play well early on, falls behind 21-3, simply could not stop KJ Jefferson and Raheem Sanders. South Carolina tries to make it a little bit more competitive late, but once again, 23 fourth quarter points, variety of different ways that Arkansas got that, and South Carolina falls to 1-1 on the season. Arkansas moves to 2-0 on the season, and maybe just as bad. South Carolina pretty beaten up after that game on Saturday. Shane Beamer last night holding his weekly Sunday night teleconference, kind of a recap of the week, be the first of the 3 times we hear, 4 times, I guess, actually. The 3 more times the rest of the week. We'll hear from him Tuesday in his usual press conference setting. We'll hear from him Wednesday in the SEC weekly teleconference, and then Thursday at Carolina Calls. But a physical matchup out there in Fayetteville, and it looks like some really bad news may be coming down the pipe for South Carolina. Last night on his again Sunday night teleconference, Shane Beamer saying Mo Kaba and Jordan Strawn are certainly out this week, and that he will have more information for the media and the fans once they're able to talk to those guys a little bit more face-to-face with Mo and Jordan. That does not sound good at all for the Gamecock defense that was carved up pretty good by Arkansas on Saturday afternoon. Cam Smith, though, expected to be back for Georgia this weekend. So we'll go do a Reaction Monday for you. If you want to weigh in and be a part of the program, 803-404-6100. How you can certainly send in your thoughts and opinions from what you saw on Saturday afternoon as South Carolina, again, I'll give my, there's a lot to get into from that game and what we saw, whether it be, once again, another slow start for the Gamecocks coming out of the box there on the road, something they've not done a good job of, how during the Shane Beamer era, being ready to go. I don't know if being ready to go is the right terminology, but again, just falling behind almost, within the first 10, 15 minutes by a very wide margin. Obviously, it was 7-3 at the end of the first quarter on Saturday, but then Arkansas was able to put up 14 points. The first 3 drives, they're banging in points, and it's 21-3 before South Carolina could blink. They would get the touchdown, miss the extra point, and be down 21-9 at halftime. You got an interesting performance from Spencer Rattler. 24 of 39, 376 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. You saw flashes of that guy that South Carolina was very excited to get. The quarterback with the big arm that can extend plays, that can make things happen. You saw flashes of that on Saturday. You also saw some things that I think, make you wonder. And I put this on Twitter, and I don't know if it's too early to wonder. I don't know if it's too early to ask this question. And I'm not asking in a bad way. Everybody sometimes thinks when you ask a question like this, you're knocking on a kid. I'm not knocking. Spencer Rattler is a really good quarterback, and I think has the potential to be one of the better quarterbacks that South Carolina's, ever had. He certainly's got all the tools, the physical tools, but he missed some open passes. He missed some guys deep. Amarion Brown got deep. Obviously, that missed pass, and it's a tough pass. It's a tough play right before the half that he breaks to his left, and Brown's breaking open in the end zone. if South Carolina hits that and it's 21-16 going into the break, maybe it's an entirely different feeling at halftime. South Carolina would cut it to 21-16 going into the fourth quarter, but obviously not enough. But you saw things from Spencer Rattler that are really good. And you also saw some stuff that I put on Twitter and just wondered, is he a definite one and done? And from the state of the program, and I know it's only 2 games in, and as I said this on Twitter, I put it out, I said there's a lot that can change between now and November. There's a million things. So it's really early to be asking this question. But I do think from the state of the program, it's an interesting question. Is he a surefire? I don't know. I'm not an NFL draft guru. We'll get Patrick Perett's take later this week. We'll have an NFL draft guy on later this week. And just kind of through the first 2 weeks where people are kind of projecting that, because, again, seems kind of like an interesting question. But with all that being said, certainly a very interesting weekend for South Carolina football. Maybe a really bad weekend if you factor in the injuries to Jordan Strawn and Mo Kaba. Now South Carolina will have to pick up the pieces and be ready to go for Georgia Saturday afternoon, noon kickoff right here at Williams-Brice Stadium. So we'll get you ready for that. But today we'll kind of look back at what was, for South Carolina, a tough weekend. But for college football, oh my goodness, what a fun, I guess it was a fun weekend. It was, for me, I didn't have a dog in the fight of Texas A&M, Appalachian State, Notre Dame, and Marshall. Nebraska, it's not frosty in Nebraska anymore. Scott Frost let go. I don't know if you saw the stat. I don't know if people saw this. Nebraska was 214-0. 214-0 when scoring 35 or more points at Memorial Stadium there in Lincoln, Nebraska. Well, Monday morning, as of 6:09, unless they reverse the final of that game, Nebraska is now 214-1 when scoring 35 or more points at Memorial Stadium, and that leads to the end of the Scott Frost era out in Nebraska. So a lot to take away. The Texas-Alabama game, certainly a really good one. You go through Florida and Kentucky, 26-16. Kentucky finds a way to get things done. Tennessee finds a way to knock off Pittsburgh over the weekend. A really fun game there up in Pittsburgh. So all in all, a very entertaining college football weekend. So if you want to weigh in on that, again, you can do so this morning. There's a lot to get to from the weekend. Certainly, I know a lot of you have thoughts, and several of you already weighing in this morning. Dustin on the text line, 803-404-6100, had a few missed throws that would have led to 6 game-changing plays. It's fine, though. Arkansas played good. They got us in Fayetteville. We'll get them in the rematch in Atlanta. Tyson weighing in this morning. Also seems the defensive line lacks physicality and nastiness. Nick Eamon-Warry, however, is going to be a stud. I did come away with that. Nick Eamon-Warry, number 21 for South Carolina, is going to be a really good player. Tyson also saying 0 improvement on stopping the rush. Next week will be worse. Everyone is mailing it in on the season. Still a chance to win 6. It's year 2, and patience is needed. People have none. Richard weighing in this morning says, what a great weekend of football. Down go my Irish. But yes, he is there. He says, Jen, the Bears won. They did. They knock off the 49ers. So what's our celebratory Bears song that we get to play?
I guess we could sing Bear Down, Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Could do that. But I tell you what, you get the Bears winning, Notre Dame losing. Life is good.
Life is good. Yes, that's here we go. So life is good for Jen, not so much for Richard this morning because he is a Notre Dame fan, and that one was a tough one. Jess weighing in on our text line as well says, good morning. Carolina Panthers lost embarrassing to the Browns yesterday. Lost by 2, but the way the offense played was horrible. Baker played okay. Shame we don't have an offensive line for him. Got the Giants this Sunday. Can't afford to lose to them. Go Panthers. Have a great morning. So, yeah, a lot going on this morning. Certainly the first full weekend going back to Friday, or go all the way back to Thursday night with the Bills and the Rams. Then you had Friday night high school football that was really entertaining and fun. We'll get to that later on this week with Chris Deering. You got college football leading the way on Saturday with a very, very entertaining weekend, and we'll kind of see how things continue to play out for not just South Carolina, but now you got to wonder how they play out for Texas A&M. Whew, that Jimbo Fisher contract. You got to wonder how things will continue to play out up in South Bend for Marcus Freeman, who 0-3 now is a head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, losing the bowl game last year and his first two this year. Nebraska's in the market already for a new head football coach. A lot going on across the world of college football. We start this morning right here with the South Carolina Gamecocks, a 44-30 loser to Arkansas this past weekend. And again, the key stats I take away from that: Arkansas, 65 rushes for 295 yards. Rocket Sanders, 24 carries, $156, 2 touchdowns. KJ Jefferson adds in 19 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown. AJ Green, another player for Arkansas, also rushing 9 times for 43 yards. Again, as a team, it was 65 rushes for 295 yards. Arkansas rattles off 86 total plays in that ball game, just 68 for South Carolina. So a 20 play, just a little over or a little under a 20 play discrepancy there in terms of the game. South Carolina, 6 carries for Juju McDowell for 35 yards. Marshawn Lloyd gets just 7 for 23. Jaheim Bell, 4 for 5. It was that kind of day for South Carolina. They went heavy on the pass, although 39 passes, 29 rushes for the Gamecocks. Spencer Rattler actually had the most rushing attempts at 12, including the sacks and everything that you factor in there. But South Carolina, 29 rushes, 39 passes. Arkansas does it, what we've talked about all summer, 21 passes, and KJ Jefferson completing 18 of them. Not a lot of pressure on him Saturday. 18 of 21 for 162 yards and a touchdown. Arkansas is a team. 65 rushes, 295 yards. It was that kind of day for the Gamecocks. 803-404-6100. I understand you're going to have plenty of opinions and certainly do not mind hearing from you this morning. So if you want to weigh in, join us. You can always go to our live stream. Go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game. Click, join, subscribe, be a part of the program. We'd love for you to join in the chat room where Steven, Trey, DC, Robin, Anthony, other Anthony, Jerry, you get the point. They're all up and discussing the game already. You can go and be a part of that this morning as well. Jamie Bradford due up at 7 a.m. this morning, 7 to 8. We'll get his thoughts and feelings on the game along with yours. It's Bill Gunner. It's Jen Jensen. It's a Monday morning, September the 12th. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game
is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game and the new 107.5 The Game app.
Feeling healthy, feeling great. That's how you want to feel right now, heading into the fall. That's right. You need to feel the best you've ever felt. And with QC Kinetics, that is exactly what you're going to get. If you've been experiencing back pain, you've had problems with your joints, with your ankles, with your knees, it's time to get real, lasting relief from the chronic pain that is affecting you. Let QC Kinetics get you moving again with their cutting-edge regenerative treatments. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Let me repeat that because that's important. When you start getting healthy, when you start doing this rehab, you want to do it with no drugs. You don't want things being put into your body that you're unaware of. You want to do it with no downtime. You want to get back to living your life as quickly as possible. And most importantly, you want to do it without surgery. And with QC Kinetics, that's exactly what you get. They use highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. So go visit or go call QC Kinetics today. Get that free consultation, 803-281-6860. A lot of people have done this. They're living life to the absolute fullest and doing it pain-free. Call QC Kinetics today, 803-281-6860. Again, that phone number to set up that free consultation today, 803-281-6860. That's QC Kinetics.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
No accidents to report at this time, starting off your Monday morning on the right foot. And your forecast for today, 86 for the high under partly cloudy skies. Less humid tomorrow, 85 for the high, and much of the same on Wednesday. Right now, though, 75 at 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Science with CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. They kicked our ass, said Arizona's Kyler Murray about Kansas City. Another big Sunday loser was Aaron Rodgers, whose new receiving core was not in sync with him against Minnesota. Joe Flacco's Jets couldn't outscore the Mets or the Yankees, while Joe Burrow suffered 5 turnovers versus Pittsburgh. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Castrol Edge Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every tank. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Everyone, who's manning the front tonight?
Big E's nightclub needs a bouncer with a military background.
Dougie, I need you to keep eyes on the back.
Security who lays down the no-no when the unts get too intense.
That Swedish DJ duo is back tonight. Y'all remember last time?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Sponsored by eBay Motors. You might not have the biggest garage on the block, but with eBay Motors, there's 122 million parts right at your fingertips. Whatever you need, there's something that fits your vehicle. Air filters, tires, seat covers, and more. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, the most trusted and reviewed cleaning company in town. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119. Morning to everybody. All right, I was reading some of the text messages there that we got in. Good morning. Yeah, I think it's 16 and a half. Is it moved? Let's see if the spread is moved at all. Oops. Well, I spilled coffee on this computer the other day, and now, as you would expect, some of the keys are sticking. Yep, App State game. And a nice fat $1 million check to take home. I guess. Actually do this too real quick. Hold on. Oh, wait.
But, overall, not good enough today, but excited as we continue to go through this season. And, again, proud of the group of men we have in that locker room right now.
Shane Beamer's opening statement on Saturday afternoon following the 44-30 loss to Arkansas. And we talked all summer or all offseason, I should say, going even back to March and April and into May about what this game would be. And we knew it would be physical. Drew Barrett, who joined us last week from the ESPN Arkansas station, mentioned South Carolina needing to be a little bit more aware of the passing game for the Razorbacks. And again, KJ Jefferson was good on Saturday, 18 of 21 for 162 yards. So he certainly showed that he can pass it. But we knew that Arkansas would line up and try and shove the ball down the Gamecocks' defensive line's throat. And that's what they did. There's a lot that you can take away from this game, but you go back to last year and South Carolina's biggest defensive bugaboo was stopping the run. You go back to the Missouri loss where they allowed Tyler Beatty to run wild. Texas A&M had two guys go over 100 yards. Tennessee had a lot of success on the ground, so forth and so on. In South Carolina last year really struggled stopping the run. And there it was again. There was two runs in the Georgia State game for, I'm not going back and looking, but I think it was 87 yards, 89 yards. But overall, South Carolina gave up 200 yards rushing to Georgia State. But again, two runs. I think it was 45 and 44 in that game. So you could kind of say, well, if not for those two runs, maybe things are a little bit different. But Saturday, Arkansas did what they wanted to. If they wanted to line up and get 3 yards, they were going to line up and get 3 yards. 4.5 yard per rush average for the Razorbacks. And South Carolina, we can go through a lot of things about whether they tried to establish the run, whether they went straight to the pass. We did know going in with the injuries to Miles Slusher and Jalen Catalon that South Carolina would have some, I guess you'd say, some advantage in the passing game. And it looks like that's where they directly tried to go to. Certainly when you throw for 376 yards, you consider it a little bit of a success. You say that that's where you had your most success. And South Carolina missed, again, a couple big throws. Spencer Rattler missed a couple downfield throws to Amarion Brown. There was 3 in particular. One of them, I think, was a little underthrown, the very first one, and the Arkansas defensive back was able to get in there and make a play on that. Obviously, there were 2 more that really could have led to big, big plays. There was the long pass play. Juice Wells was certainly a bright spot for South Carolina. 8 receptions, 189 yards, and a touchdown on Saturday, and really showcased, I think, that, yes, he can indeed be a big-time wide receiver in the SEC. But South Carolina is going to have to learn to run the football and stop the run. And if they can't do those two things, getting to 6 wins is going to be extremely difficult. And that's what the SEC really is all about, is the lines of scrimmage, running the football, lining up and dominating, or at least being somewhat competitive on the lines of scrimmage. And right now, through 2 games, and really through about 15 games, South Carolina, I say 15 because that's the number of games Shane Beamer has now coached. That is a big, big bugaboo. South Carolina, when they've been able to run the football, go back to Florida, go back to even Auburn, obviously North Carolina. But when South Carolina's been able to run the football, they've been a pretty good football team. But overall, South Carolina has not been able to stop the run. And on Saturday, that really was kind of the big thing. Arkansas with about a 9-minute time advantage in the ball game. Arkansas 34 minutes, 37 seconds of time of possession. South Carolina 25 minutes, 23 seconds in terms of time of possession. So, and look, Arkansas played a good game. They also had 10 penalties for 122 yards. It wasn't the cleanest game from the Razorbacks. One thing I don't think you can say is, well, Arkansas went out and played their absolute A game. I do think I did not give the Razorbacks enough credit going into the preseason. I think they are, without question, a much better football team than South Carolina. Sam Pittman's done a heck of a job out there. He's molded that program into his own identity, in which is big, physical, nasty, mean. Use all those adjectives you want to use to describe offensive line. I'm going to punch you in the mouth and run over you football. And that's what they did. That's exactly what they did on Saturday. And then they had a very nice compliment in KJ Jefferson's passing game. Again, I'll give you those numbers: 18 of 21 for 162 yards. Jefferson was efficient, very rarely, if any, put the ball into any kind of precarious situation. He did what he needed to do, and then he turned around and he allowed Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, to do what he does best, and that's run over and through people. 24 carries, 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So South Carolina, obviously, I think, has got to become more physical on the lines of scrimmage. I think they've got to become more physical overall. Right now, South Carolina is just not a go out there and dominate you physically kind of football program. And they're going to have to get better in the weight room. They're going to have to recruit better players. You at least see the recruiting kind of coming along right now, as RL says on our live stream. Greg Atkins recruiting offensive line guys now to fix the line. Just won't be this year. And that's going to be some of it. South Carolina has got to continue to recruit, whether it's through the high school ranks or the transfer portal. The Gamecocks have got to get bigger, meaner, stronger, because that's, quite frankly, what won that football game for Arkansas. They're more talented. There's no question about that. They had a really good game plan. Kendall Briles certainly took advantage of their mismatches that they were able to create against South Carolina, but also they just, quite frankly, were able to line up and smack it down South Carolina's face with little to no problem at all. 803-404-6100. We'll get to some more of these text messages that y'all are weighing in with. We'll certainly do that. If you want to weigh in this morning on the phone lines, 803-404-6100. I see Sal, David, and Ray. We'll get to you when we come back. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007, and on November 12th, 107.5 The Game went on the air. And since then, we have celebrated with you 2 women's national championships in hoops.
A spectacular performance, and South Carolina has won the national championship.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
South Carolina has captured its second national championship. Tears of triumph in 2022.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, Eamon Ward is I like Eamon Ward, and Juice Wells certainly showed why a lot of people are very high on him. All right. Yeah. Yeah, the one thing about Rattler is there was a few that I think the thing about Rattler is there was a couple times he just seemed to step up. I think there was one where he had some pockets, because Arkansas, to me, going back and rewatching, Arkansas really was not blitzing him as much as I thought they may, compared to what they saw in the Georgia State game, what we all saw. I thought they kind of laid back. Drew Sanders is really good. Arkansas actually has 2 really good linebackers there in Sanders and Bumper Pool. Their linebacker plays really good, and I really thought they would take more advantage of that. Sanders, I didn't realize he was that big, like physically big, but they kind of laid back. But I thought a few times Spencer could have stayed back there. Instead, he kind of panicked a couple times and bolted out. I don't think that's right. 26 and a half. I thought I saw 16. Let's go to Circa. Circa. Did Circa not put out their odds last night? Yeah, hold on. Let me. Ah, dang, you're right. 26. Somebody, wait. Oh no, I just misread it. Idiot. I was too busy yesterday doing something. Plus 26. That's what somebody texted me yesterday, and it was. Why did I think 16 and a half? Damn. I completely screwed that up. The line I read, somebody texted me the line yesterday on the Carolina Georgia game, and I don't know why it's plus 26. And I guess, what time did that get sent to me? Oh, last night. I just read it as 16. Like, so way off. I just completely misread it.
Well, that's okay. Like, you can go back. There's nothing to talk about because there's nothing else.
I know there's. Thank you. Let's go with number 5 coming back. Number 5. Wow, 26. Gee whiz. Tennessee is minus 50 against Akron. I did not look at this last night. Looking at some of the Ole Miss is 13 against Georgia Tech. Coastal Carolina is minus 20. Yes, yeah. I'm shocked. 26 at home. Think about this. When South Carolina beat Georgia on the road a couple years ago, I think they were a 24 or 25 point under. Yeah. 24 or 25 point underdog. When South Carolina went on the road and beat Georgia. Wow. 26. Clemson's a 35-point favorite over Louisiana Tech. Iowa's a 20-point favorite. Iowa has not scored 20 points on the football season and is a 20-point favorite over Nevada.
Dang.
I didn't look at all this last night. Now I'm looking at it.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
All right.
We felt like we had a great advantage with our receivers and tight ends versus their defensive backs today. So we threw it like we did. We certainly had some guys running open in the secondary, had the ball to AB early in the first, I think that was the first quarter, on a post route that, we weren't able to come down with it. And then there were other opportunities as well. But, that's part of it defensively as well. They're a load, obviously, that quarterback is. And we got to stop the run and get ourselves off the field as well. But certainly we had a lot of opportunities out there in all three phases. But again, proud of the way that our guys continued to fight and battle. And I felt like we were going to win the game up until that last drive right there when we got the safety or whatever they called back there.
Shane Beamer, a little bit more of him. We'll continue playing some audio here, obviously, throughout the morning and letting you listen to what he had to say if you didn't catch it in the post-game press conference. I want to make a quick correction, and then we'll get out to the phone line. I really can't believe this. Last night, I was busy. I was doing a few things. We had soccer yesterday, and so I kind of just glanced at the Circa Sports line, and I mentioned this earlier that the line for the South Carolina Georgia game was 16. I misread that. It's 26. Georgia's a 26-point favorite in Columbia against South Carolina. I didn't realize Steven on our live stream pointed this out, and just last night I was doing a bunch of things, and I was just kind of glanced at it and just mentally apparently could not process a 26-point underdog at home. By comparison, South Carolina, when Will Muschamp was the coach in 2019, went to Georgia, South Carolina was about a 24, 25-point underdog on the road in Athens. According to Circa Sports that I'm looking at right now, Georgia is a 26-point favorite. Over under set at 48.5. We'll certainly talk about that as the week goes on. But I
You were thinking positively.
I was thinking positive. I don't know what a 2 and a 1 did not look similar. So that's just on me, but I could not process that. 803-404-6100. Let's get out to Sal on the Love Chevy phone line. Sal, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to point out real quick, man, the offensive line looked like they did okay, better than last week. And what you touched on earlier, Bill, about those passes that Spencer missed, I counted 3. And if we can get those back, we're talking something totally different today. So I'm just going to simply say, at the end of the day, Spencer missed. The one with Van, he was about 2 yards ahead of the guy. Spencer maybe could have dropped it in the breadbasket, but the other 2, where they were wide open, and the post route to Brown, if he'd have just let him a little bit more and let him go catch that ball. Look here, man, we're talking about Carolina winning by one touchdown. That's all I had to say. Love the show. What's up, Gamecock Larry? Y'all have a good morning. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks.
Appreciate the phone call, Sal. Yeah, I mean, the first one, a little underthrown to Brown, the DB. Brown had to slow down a little bit. The DB was able to make a play on it. The other 2, the one right before the half that Brown was open, I think it was Amarion Brown, was open right there in the end zone, kind of on the left side. And that's a tough throw. I mean, maybe it's easy to say, well, he's expected to be this and he's expected to be that. That was a tough throw. Obviously, it's one he would like back. It's one that big players make in situations like that. The throw just a little long. If they do connect on that one right before the half, who knows? Maybe a little bit different ball game there at halftime, maybe a little bit different vibe. But certainly, look, as Sal kind of just said, you can pick and choose what we want to there. Rattler did have a nice day, obviously 376 yards passing, but a few that he might have wanted back. 803-404-6100. Let's get back out to the Love Chevy phone lines. David is up next this morning. David, how you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm doing well. Bill, I didn't like this matchup with Arkansas before the game was even played. I did see a little bit of improvement in the offensive line. They did give Spencer some time on occasion. I really think that we're about 2 recruiting cycles away from being able to sell I don't know if there's a disconnect between the 2, but as it looks right now, Van made a mistake coming back trying to improve his stop. And I'm not giving up on Spencer or Lloyd or any of them. I still think Spencer's trying a little too hard. But appreciate what you do, man, and have a good day.
You too, David. Thank you for the phone call this morning. Again, 803-404-6100. Back out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ray is up next. Ray, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, Bill. Good morning. I want to talk positive first, but then I'm getting to the meat. Positive is, hey, we played a conference game on the road and scored 30 points. I can't very much how that happened, to be quite frank with you. But what's the old cliche, cat's out of the bag or white elephant in the room? It's called line of scrimmage at the University of South Carolina, where it's offense or defense. It's got to get better. I just find it hard to believe. I don't know if it's on the offensive line, if it's where they were so used to the other coaching staff. Somehow we haven't been able to convert these guys to what this coaching staff wants these guys to do. And they can't be that bad. And what I mean, Bill, I'm sure these guys are recruited by other, big name schools. So that's got to improve. But I will agree with the last call. The pass blocking was a little better. I mean, it was a little better, but we got to get better. We got to get better in the line of scrimmage. The defensive line just got pushed around. And, I'm not a defensive line coach, but I played a little defensive end in high school. Um, our defensive ends, their first move is to slant in. You can't do that. You got to play edge containment. And if you watched on our left line, our defensive end, and I'm not going to name the kid's name, his first step was inside. So he was already overcommitted on the inside, and the Razorbacks just bounced it outside and got 7-8 yards before he's even touched. So a lot of work needs to be done there. I thought Spencer had a very good game. And I think that's the way we got to do it because, of course, you always hear you need to be committed to run. You're going to run. Well, I promise we can't do it, Bill. We cannot run the football. And I don't think we can be committed to something we absolutely can't do right now. And I'm very disappointed in Marshawn Lloyd. His ball security is very questionable. When he comes out of the backfield, he sees a linebacker running right by him, so he knows he's got to turn around for that screen pass. He's got for that short pass. He doesn't even turn around. So I at this point, I think Juju deserves a start over him. And I know Juju can't run the ball 20 times a game. Heck, I don't know if we do have a back right now that can run 20 times a game. But anywho, I think Juju should start. Never thought I would say that over a five-star player, but we got some five-star players that need to start playing like five-star players. But hopefully it gets better. I'm always going to stick with them, but thanks for letting me talk.
Appreciate the phone call, Ray. Be careful, I guess, what you say this morning. First-time texter, I like this text, says, it burns me up, Gunner, with the negative side you have for the Gamecocks. Apparently I'm negative. Tough thing to learn at 6:43 on a Monday morning that I'm negative. I
don't know negative, just
being positive. I guess
looking at things at all sides.
It'll be positive. I feel like I was positive. He says, we all know the things need to improve upon. The offense looked better. Rattler made progress with friends like you. You know the rest. Well, call me in. Call into the show and take me to task. Don't text in. Call in if that's the attitude. You're more than welcome. We'll take all calls. Don't think I'm being negative at all. I guess we just hear what we want to hear this morning. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. Text line or phone line, or you can go to the or you can go to our live stream. Brian weighing in on the live stream this morning. Run the ball against a three-man front and keep the defense off the field is what he says. And that's kind of what Ray was just saying. We'll get back out to those Love Chevy phone lines when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game. 107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And as far as the traffic conditions are out there this morning, we really only have an object on the highway to let you know about. That's I-20 westbound before 378. Just kind of keep your eyes open. There could be something in the road to swerve and miss. But other than that, really no accidents to report at this time. Don't have any rain. Loving that. Partly cloudy today, 86 for the high, 85 Tuesday and Wednesday. It's 75 right now at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Print and Marketing Services help small businesses create bold signs to make big impressions. Right now, get $10 off custom printed signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more.
Didn't mean to hit that one, but it's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna, you can't just talk positively. I mean, you've got to talk about the team as a whole. You know,
I didn't think I was being that negative. I just thought I was pointing it out.
And I would criticize you if it was, called for. Don't worry.
First time text. I wonder if I can. Yeah. That's good. Seeing y'all were worried. You were worried that it was going to be a tough morning.
Congress has approved, and President Biden has signed a new law allowing anyone that spent time at the base to seek the justice they deserve. Billions have been set aside for victims of toxic water claims. If you or a loved one was at Camp Lejeune at any time through 1987 and developed a serious health condition, you or your family may be entitled to seek the.
Are you serious?
What's that?
It's the phone number for Mid-State Heating and Air.
800-320-9047. Just as you feel the effects of the summertime heat, your house feels.
What they're wanting?
No, it's not. But it's listed. Okay, it's not. I'm wrong. But it comes up when you put it in images for. Why does it have? All right, it's not. I was gonna say. I don't think it's connected. But it definitely popped up like that very quickly.
Hey, Gamecock Nation, number 32, Mo Collar here. Are you tired of your box store brand lawnmower constantly letting you down? Ready to rid yourself of costly repairs and yearly replacements? Press the team at Kato's Power Equipment to maximize your mowing potential with top class zero turn from Gravy. Since 1916, American-built Gravy lawnmowers have set the standard for quality cuts. The new mower is waiting. Come join the family at Kato's Power Equipment.
summer is over, but that joint pain is still there. Time to do something. Hey, it's Bill Gunner. I want you to call QC Kinetics now. You put it off long enough. It's time to get real. Lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulder, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drug, no downtime, and most importantly, regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics is the nation's leading.
What do we got there? We got John. Let's see. What are we gonna have?
Lots of people here have done this.
Oh, you still have plenty of time.
Don't assume the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Call QC Kinetics.
Got about a minute.
We are good. We are good. Yeah.
Yep.
That's QC Kinetics. 803-281-6860. Your local radio stations are here.
All right. All right. Tell you what, real quick, injuries, number 4, injuries. Can you play that number? Injuries coming in right here.
Jordan and Mo, we'll see when we get back to Columbia, but it doesn't look good going forward. So keeping, hopefully we'll say our prayers tonight. Hopefully we get some good news, but right now it doesn't look good. Cam should be fine. Had an upper body injury that I would hope he would not be long-term at all.
Shane Beamer talking about the injuries on Saturday, and that might be the worst part of it right now. Shane Beamer reiterating last night on his Sunday night teleconference that it does not look good for Mo Kaba and Jordan Strawn. His exact wording is Mo Kaba and Jordan Strawn will certainly be out this week and won't play against Georgia. We'll have some more information for you on that once we're able to talk to those guys a little bit more face-to-face with Mo and Jordan. I believe there was a quick shot of Jordan kind of with a towel over his head, or to an extent with his family on the sideline Saturday, and some tears there. And just kind of the early word is that one might be very significant for him. You hope for both of those young men who have put in the work and the effort and everything that it's maybe not as bad as it sounds at this moment. Maybe they can get back this year. But you got to admit, normally Shane Beamer's pretty optimistic and kind of errs on, I think, the side of caution with injuries and being a little defensive at times. For him to come out and say it, or for him to kind of phrase it the way he has, is concerning. And South Carolina has some good football players defensively. They still lack depth. And if you lose Mo Kaba and Jordan Strawn, that's some big losses there. So something we'll continue to monitor. Again, Beamer will meet with the media tomorrow at 1:30, and I'm guessing we'll hear more about it. But certainly that would be a blow to a defense that is struggling right now and continues to struggle stopping the run. 803-404-6100. Josh is up next and actually wants to talk about that defensive line. Josh, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I do want to talk about the defensive line, but first I want to respond to that guy that text messaged you. I don't think you're being negative at all, and I get real tired of some fans that want to question other fans' negative, other fans' fandom for criticizing that poor play. I mean, in the real world, when you do good things, you get a pat on the back. When you don't and you don't produce, you get criticized. That comes with the territory. If you're in sport, if you're an athlete, that comes with the territory. That's why these guys in the NFL, they get paid the big bucks. Now you got college players that are getting NIL deals. You got college players that are signing 7-figure NIL deals. So I'm not going to ever feel bad for criticizing poor play, especially when I think that, especially on the D-line, I mean, we've got Zach Pickens, 5-star. Jordan Birch, 5-star, one of the highest rated recruits to ever come to Carolina. If you look on 24/7 Sports, I mean, we've got talent on the D-line, and they got just straight manhandled Saturday. Okay, so I'm not trying to be negative all the time, but I definitely expected a better game for the defense. I definitely expected more improvement from the defensive line up front to be a little bit more competitive. I mean, they were getting blown off the ball all game. All of us regular people out there with a 9-to-5 job, when you don't produce it at your job, guess what? You don't get pay raises. You might get let go. You're going to get criticized. Nobody's going to pump sunshine and rainbows when you're not producing. I mean, that's just the bottom. That's life. I just don't understand why people can't be critical. Why somebody's not a good fan if they're critical. I just don't understand that, and it really grinds my gears, man. Every time somebody tries to call somebody out as a fan. If you want people to say good things and you want people to praise you, then do good things. And when they criticize you, use it as fuel to come out and prove the naysayers wrong. I just don't understand why people are so soft these days. I just don't get it. But that's all I had to say. I'll hang up and listen to you, bud.
Appreciate the phone call, Josh. 803, huh?
I love that.
No.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, what it is through 2 games is you now try to analyze and figure out where a lot changes. I think as I get older, and I don't want to say I become less emotional about it. I'm definitely, I guess, just age is wearing on me. Because I still do I had a blast on Saturday at Austin. It was the first time that Austin's actually watched a game with me. And so I'm jumping up and down and high-fiving him and having a lot of fun. And I probably do it a little bit more for him and enjoy it, but I still get emotional. But I think one thing I've learned as I've gotten older is things change dramatically over the next 3 months. You know, the way that this season, last year after the East Carolina game, you know, South Carolina was 2-0, but you knew that there was some flaws and deficiencies. South Carolina had to kick a field goal there at the very end to beat East Carolina. And certainly after the Vanderbilt game, there was no way you probably thought they were going to a bowl game, and things changed. Things picked up and changed. And that's going to happen again. Good, bad, I'm not real sure. But the season is going to evolve and change. And what we're talking about this morning on September the 12th will probably be a lot different than what we're talking about on the morning of, I think Halloween is I believe the 29th of October. And so I think the 31st going into the month of November, we'll probably be talking about something totally different. But you do analyze what you saw this weekend and how the game went. Let's get the last phone call in here. Jamie Bradford due up in about 10 minutes here. Ted wants to weigh in on quarterback play. Ted, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Bill. About that negative guy, Josh did a good job. But my thing on a negative person that doesn't realize that we're just trying to talk through some things, and hopefully our team will improve in these areas. But if you can't handle the truth, don't listen. Now, what I want to talk about is going all the way back to spring football.
You got about 60
we
seconds.
Heard all year. Huh?
You got 60 seconds, Ted. Go quickly.
Ooh, Lord. Okay. Spring football, we were told how good our offensive line was getting. They were all together, blah, blah, blah. Defensive line, same thing. Defensive line, I'm going to hit on real quick. The defensive ends are way, way too slow. They turn in. They do not hold the perimeter at all. They run right around them, and nobody's there to help. Spencer Rattler, I think he's still be a good quarterback. I'm not completely giving up on him by no means. He missed 2 wide open receivers. The one I want to talk about real quick is the one he threw in the end zone in the fourth quarter that was intercepted. Well, I was watching it, and I saw the guy out of the backfield roll to the left. Now, when he threw the interception, you couldn't see the left side of the field. When they did the replay,
Ted, we'll get to it. I'll call us back later. We got Bradford up. We got a break now. Appreciate you. Well, hour 2 up next.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
At Hood Construction, we believe in doing what's right for our clients and our nation. For us, that's supporting our active duty military, veterans, and their families by ensuring access to higher education. Because we're not just giving back to them, we're giving back to the whole country. Hood Construction is the presenting sponsor of the 2022 Midlands Technical College Foundation Golf Classic. Proceeds from the Classic support scholarships for active duty military, veterans, and their families. Visit midlandstech.edu/golf to meet this year's sponsors.
Palmetto Propane, a family-owned company, has been delivering propane to homes and businesses for more than 60 years. With professional installation, exceptional service, and premium gas log and outdoor fire features, we're proud to be South Carolina's leading full-service propane and fuel provider. And our online payment and scheduling give you the access you need anytime, anywhere. Visit us at palmettopropane.com to connect with us and to find a location near you.
Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, the most trusted and reviewed cleaning company in town. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroResColumbia.com.
Hey, y'all. Jay Phillips here from my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got good ones, they work so well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. All kinds of fans at Dan's Fan City, big to small and quiet. Quality fans. They have accessories and light kits, fan blades, and more. Stop by and see them soon. Harbison Boulevard next to Total Wine, or call Dan's Fan City 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
This is a paid advertisement. Pulaski Kirker with principal offices in Houston, Texas is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Brandon Pettijohn is attorney licensed in North Carolina. Attention! All military members or military families or contractors that spend time at the Marine Base Camp Lejeune. If you or a family member lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune at any time from 1953 to 1987, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call 800-927-2971 now to see if you qualify. That's right. Marines, their families, employees, contractors, and anyone who lived, worked, or served at Camp Lejeune may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Studies have found the water at Camp Lejeune was contaminated with toxic chemicals for decades, causing serious health conditions such as cancer, Parkinson's, leukemia, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Congress has approved and President Biden has signed a new law allowing anyone that spent time at the base to seek the justice they deserve. Billions have been set aside for victims of toxic water claims. If you or a loved one was at Camp Lejeune at any time through 1987 and developed a serious health condition, you or your family may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Hurry, time is limited. Call 800-927-2971. That's 800-927-2971. 800-927-2971.
Well, friends, the Midland's best kept secret is no longer a secret. The secret's out there. Charwood Golf Club is the Midland's must-play golf course anywhere. If you want pure golf, no pool, no tennis, and no drama, the Wood is for you. Not only is Charwood a great golf course, it's home to the 1075 The Game Fall Classic. Charwood is family-owned and professionally managed for over 40 years, and from their fast greens to cold beer and good times, Charwood, affectionately known as the Wood, is calling you. Visit them on the web, charwood.com.
What we're talking about on 1075 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. We will never charge above MSRP or take advantage of you with add-ons. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. It's Reaction Monday.
Feel free to let it loose.
Got thoughts about the game? Call or text us at 404-6100 or hit us up on Twitter at 1075 The Game.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game. The early game with Bill Gunter.
I think I've got you set up over there, Coach. You might have some headphones. You might not. Not real sure. Apologize. Got a lot
Making him do his own work. Is that what you're saying?
I am trying to fight this iPad so we can put them on the live stream as well. But
and Jen Jensen.
So basically, well-oiled machine. You're right on top of things. You have everything prepared.
this iPad has dominated me this morning. Like, it has been a beating at the hands of this iPad. We'll see if I got it fixed there.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
Today's phrase of the day is, I have no clue.
1075.
If you say, I have no clue, this means I don't know. In fact, I don't even have any idea.
The Game.
Rolling along, hour number 2, the early game. Joined here in just a few seconds by the one and only Jamie Bradford. We'll get his take as well. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. Brian weighing in on our live stream where you can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, click join, subscribe. He says the good thing is Beamer's recruiting the heck out of the defense and offensive line. Help is on the way. So we got a couple of you weighing in. Raphael weighing in and said first carry by a running back was the second quarter at the 7:25 minute mark by Lloyd. Yeah, the run game, you can go back and forth on that. Certainly South Carolina could have run the football a little bit more. the game plan, obviously, they had mismatches in the secondary. Maybe you hit those long passes to Amarion Brown. Maybe we're feeling a little bit different. They are going to need to learn to run the football. I'm not going to argue with anybody on that. That's got to become something. South Carolina's just not right now a physical at the point of attack football team. Joining me, as he does each and every Monday, to kind of discuss that. And Jamie, unfortunately, we're the negative Nellies. We're the negative Nellies of the group. You and I, we took Arkansas to cover the 8.5 last week. Patrick and JC took South Carolina minus the 8.5. So we're the negative guys this morning. But that's really where it starts. And I think, we can talk about play calling, both sides, stopping the run, running the football, things of that nature for Marcus Satterfield and Clayton White. But right now, to me, South Carolina is not a physical football team. They get pushed around, especially at the line of scrimmage, way too often.
Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning, Jen. And good morning, all the Gamecock fans out there that I know are once again a little bit frustrated, or a lot of bit frustrated after going on the road. Well, yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and that's why I took Arkansas to cover the 8.5. I thought that because of that exact thing that you just said, that Carolina would probably have a very difficult time going to Fayetteville and not only pulling off a win, but keeping it close. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, the score, I think, is probably even closer than the actual game was. I think if you had to play another quarter, that Arkansas would do what they did for the first 4 quarters. They would just go right back to the run game, and they would just keep doing it because, for the most part, South Carolina couldn't really stop it. And that tone was set, Bill, in the first 3 drives of the game. The other thing I want to point out real quick is whoever, I missed his name, but the gentleman that just mentioned the stat on Lloyd, that's all I've been talking about for 2 days. And I know we're going to get into a lot of the specifics and things of that nature, but there is no football universe that exists, none, where, and I can't imagine that Shane Beamer has walked back into that building since then and said, well, that's okay, where your best running back doesn't get a touch at running back until halfway through the second quarter. That's 22 and a half minutes of game time. That cannot happen.
I'm back and forth on the play call. I agree with what you're saying. And what I don't like is it looked like South Carolina came out early on and basically they said, all right, we're just going to throw the football. We're going to line up and we're going to let Spencer try and win the football game in that manner. And obviously he hit some big plays. The percentage was maybe not what you would necessarily want. 24 of 39. Remember, he was 23 of 37 last week. But I'm with everybody on the running thing. And that kind of, again, goes back to a mentality, right? Like, you've got to line up and physically try to win the line of scrimmage. And right now, South Carolina doesn't. When they've done that in the past, North Carolina and Florida come to mind as games where South Carolina said, hey, we're going to run the football. We're going to do it this way. And it worked. Right now, it feels like that physical mindset is not there to line up and physically drive somebody off the ball. Maybe they just flat can't do it. But I think it also starts with instilling a confidence, Jamie, instilling confidence in your guys that, hey, this is the brand of football we want to play. Arkansas and Sam Pittman have done that. That football team I saw from Arkansas on Saturday, that mentality of, what did he say? Crank the jukebox and let's drink some cold beer. I mean, that is a blue-collar football team that goes out and physically just says, we're going to maul you. We're going to beat the ever-living crap out of you, and you're going to have to just deal with it for 4 quarters.
Yeah, they know who they are, Bill, and they know who they are. They know what they want to do. While the guys on this offensive line have received a bunch of criticism over the last 2 weeks, I'm not going to take it that far, because I actually don't think these guys deserve what they've been getting, to be honest with you. I watched the same group. You and I had this conversation last week. I watched the same group you did, and about 80,000 other people did, albeit on TV because you couldn't get in the ballpark. In 2020, we watched these guys push up and down the field for Kevin Harris and that group under Mike Bobo, right? You mentioned the Florida game last year. People can argue all day long about whether Florida had quit going into that game or not. I don't think they had. I think it was the Gamecocks that broke their backs is actually what happened. They were 4-4, and everybody's talking about Florida going into that game. The rest of the season, much easier. They'll finish 8-4. Dan Mullen will be fine, yada, yada, yada. And then Carolina beat the crap out of them. is what happened. And they ran it for 284 yards that night as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when this team actually commits to running the football, they can run the football. I think this offensive line, I think they want that. I think they want somebody to say, hey, push it down their throats, okay? Go out there, take it personal, and shove it down their throats. Do you know what the best drive of the game was on Saturday? Do you remember the best drive of the game on Saturday? It was the fourth drive. They ran it 7 times in 8 plays.
Okay,
and
yeah.
they scored a touchdown. I mean, and I'm not, and again, and I'm not going to turn this either, at least personally, Bill, I'm not turning this into an hour-long session of bashing Marcus Satterfield, because I'm not going to do that. All right. I don't actually think that his play calling on Saturday was bad. I don't like South Carolina's scheme. I don't like their identity or lack thereof on offense, but I'm not going to bash him from a play calling standpoint. I think Spencer missed a lot of seam routes that he didn't even see him open. There was a lot of underneath routes that were open and they weren't thrown. So, like, at least me, I've watched the game again. You can't go out there and just crush him from a play calling standpoint, at least personally. But from a schematic standpoint or how they're utilizing personnel, those things deserve criticism, in my opinion. And so there's a lot of issues with the offense. The defense had its issues, of course, as well. And there's a lot of things that need to get cleaned up. But as Shane Beamer has rightly pointed out, and I know he's pointed it out within that building, hey, we're 1-1. We have 10 games to go. Everybody calm down. Let's get ready for Georgia.
Well, I don't think it's criticism. I think, and you know, and that's, you've done it. It's part of doing sports talk radio. It's questioning some things. And look, you know, I'm not a coach. I'm not going to sit here and trying to be, but it's fair for you or for I or for anybody to call in and say, okay, here's what I don't understand. Here's what I don't get. I brought this up last week. And I'll go back to it because one fun thing, I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I know a ton of things about football, but over the years I've learned, really working for JC at the Big Spur and having to talk to coaches and talk to players and learn some schematics and fundamentals. Some of the best stuff I ever learned, honestly, was when they used to have open practices and I'd go sit down in front of Brad Lawing's group and listen to him teach defensive line play. Right. And, you know, my little short 5'6" self probably could have fundamentally gone out and been a good defensive lineman. Now, granted, I'd have been, you know, crushed. But I guess the point is, like, I learned a lot listening to him talk to guys like Melvin Ingram and Lottie Ajboy and those players because of the way he described the game. So I learned a little bit. One thing that I took away from the Steve Spurrier era that a lot of people kind of agreed with, Spurrier would have those kind of country club preseason practices because he didn't like to get guys hurt. He didn't like to get guys hurt. But when Ellis Johnson really kind of got owned to him during Marcus Latimer's, I'm going to get it right, his freshman season. And people remember that South Carolina transition. They used to, up to that point, they'd practiced late in the evening during the month of August. And because South Carolina had some early games that year, South Carolina Steve Spurrier changed the way he did things in the preseason. They had early practices. They got out there in the heat. They were physical practice. I remember talking to a couple players at that time, and they said, yeah, this is the most physical preseason we've ever had under Coach Spurrier. This is kind of crazy. We're not used to this. And if you remember that, it led to South Carolina lining up in the second game of the year and physically dominating Georgia. And obviously, Lattimore went for 182 yards. It was a great running back. I still question the preseason and just if you've lined up and physically gotten these guys ready to go out and hit. Go out and be physical early on, because Lou Holtz did it. I remember I had some friends. Jamie, you probably had some friends that played on those football teams, and I would talk to them, and they would say that those preseason practices were every bit as physical as anything they would have to go through in a game. Now, late in the season, they'd be worn down. They were worn out, and that led to sometimes they had 5 losses. I do question that because I go back to last week, Jamie, the Georgia State game, and it wasn't just the offensive line that struggled. There was a lack of physicality out on the edge at wide receiver, at tight end, at other spots, along with the offensive line.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, and I don't, I don't have the answer to that because I wasn't at practice this year. I mean, all we can ever go off of is the things that we're told from the people we know in the program and what we're told by the staff and the players and things of that nature. I mean, I thought it was my understanding that from a physicality standpoint, that was a major point of emphasis, that we know that part of Coach Beamer's structure and culture, along with Luke Day and those guys, is to be able to be mentally tough. They do a lot of things for that. And I love all that stuff. I mean, I think everybody should when it comes to athletics, right? So, yeah, is it one of those things where it's going to take a couple of weeks or more to kind of get their footing underneath them? I just think it goes back to one thing for me, Bill, at least on the offensive side. I just don't think they have an identity. I don't think they know who they are. I don't think they know what they want to be. I mean, all right, do we really need to run through all 14 teams in the league? If we want to, we can. But I can tell you what offensive identity Florida has. I can tell you what Tennessee is. I can tell you what Georgia is. I can tell you what Kentucky is. I can tell you what Missouri is. I can tell you what Vanderbilt is now, by the way, under Clark Lee. I can tell you what Ole Miss is, Mississippi State. I can tell you what Alabama is. I mean, we know who they are. Now, whether they go out and execute or not, it's a different story. All right. But we know who they are and what they're trying to be. We knew what we were walking into in Fayetteville, Bill. We knew what Arkansas was and what they were going to do. We knew damn well when they were going to run the football, or at least when they were going to act like they were running the football, and we couldn't stop it. I mean, and so, like, I think it comes down to a lot of that. Like, do you know who you are? You're comfortable in your own skin, and how much can you perfect that? People knew what Steve Spurrier was, but could they stop it? And I just don't know that South Carolina, at least on the offensive side of the football, knows who they are.
Yeah, and to go back to some of that last year, late in the season, maybe things gelled. You can say, again, a lot of different reasons. South Carolina, even in that win over Auburn last year, was physical at the point of attack. I know that Tank Bigsby was having a big day, and that maybe if they keep feeding the ball, that maybe things are a little bit different. But even you go back to that game, and South Carolina was physical. I wonder as the season goes along, just as you said, as they start to kind of play more, and you get into some of that. I mean, look. You're not backing it down this week. You're taking probably a step up in terms of how physical the opposition is going to be. And that might be crazy to say, to go from Arkansas to Georgia, but Georgia might be and probably is even more physical than the team you just played. And if you're not ready to get hit in the mouth Saturday, that 26-point spread, which again, I can't believe it's 26. I can't either. I don't know if you heard it in the first hour I came in, I was like 16, and then somebody hit me up and said, no, it's 26. And I saw it last night, and I guess a 2 and a 1 just looked the exact same. Maybe just mentally, but
I think it actually opened at like 24.5.
Oh boy, yeah. So it's
and then they bet that thing up. But you're right. Hey, Bill, you've been around football your whole life. Have you ever been around a coach who said they're really, really physical football team, but what we need to do this week is not match their physicality, and we need to kind of just finagle our way around this thing?
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. Physical football teams, you have to hit them like they hit you. Arkansas hit us left and right this week. There's gut punches, head booms, blasts, whatever you want to call them, left and right. And you mentioned the Auburn game last year. We had 151 rushing yards, if I remember, in that game. Now, that's not an earth-shattering number, but my point is they were physical, just like you said, and they committed to the run. They only averaged like 3.2 yards per carry, but they ran it like 47 times that game because that was kind of like they decided that that's who they were going to be. This team is at its best, Bill, over the last few years when they commit to running the football. Forget the averages and all that type of stuff. When they commit to running the football, they win games. It's just as simple as that. Same thing with North Carolina. I know that DeCarrion was perfect through the air. I know he hit a couple of big boppers early in the game with Jaheim, and Zeb hit one. But throughout the game, Kevin Harris ran for like 200 yards that game. Mm-hmm. I mean, they ran the football down their throats, and everything else clicked off of it.
Well, and we'll get into this a little bit. Jamie Bradford joining us this morning, but I'll go back and you look at because we're talking a lot of offense, and I get it. The offense draws a lot of the criticism, but if you go back and you look at the last 6 games, Jamie, and that would be Missouri of last year, Auburn, Clemson, and North Carolina. Missouri as a team against South Carolina lined up, and that was the game Tyler Beatty had the big game, 209 yards. But Missouri in that ball game ran for 258 yards. Auburn ran for 191 yards. Clemson ran for 265 yards. North Carolina in the bowl game, I think it was 29 rushes, I think, for 128 yards. There's your one where you go, okay, you stop the run, although North Carolina really, you talk about being confused on offense, they really didn't seem to know what they wanted to do. Georgia State's gone for 200, and now you've got another 295 day. That's a lot of running yards when you face those teams. When you look at that, to me, is just as big a problem as anything we're talking about on the offensive line. We'll continue talking about this Jamie Bradford with us for the hours. He is each and every Monday. Certainly a lot to get into. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston,
and the guys from Gamecock Central.
If you can let Spencer hurt the opponents enough doing things like that, it maybe actually ends up slowing their outside rush down a little bit because they're saying, we got to keep this guy in the pocket, contained, like you said.
That passed the smell test? Yeah, that passes. That passes for sure. So what Arkansas, to translate that into practice, you probably see a lot of scramble drills, live scramble drills, intentional scramble drills, whether wide receivers are breaking off their routes or continuing running, focusing on covering after the play breaks down.
Get the point? The Extra Point.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Well, things have definitely picked up out on the highways this morning. My goodness. We have a report of an object on the highway, Highway 321 at Dixiana Road. Also, Highway 1 at Sparkleberry Lane, a report of an accident there. Also find one Emmanuel Church Road near Plant Springs Road. And Clemson Road at I-20, a report of an accident as well. Partly cloudy today, 86 for the high and 85 for Tuesday and Wednesday. A little bit less humidity, which will definitely be welcomed. 75 right now at 107.5 The Game.
This from our Science with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Amazon Prime Video. The new era of Thursday Night Football is only on Prime Video. 6 of the 9 new head coaches manning sidelines yesterday earned victory.
There we go. All right. Yep. But here's what I'm doing real quick to go back and look. The run as much as we talk about the offense, the run defense is every bit as bad as anything that we're talking about with the jeez. A&M went for 290 on the ground last year. And I'm pretty sure Tennessee also. What did Tennessee? Here's the one. Vanderbilt tried to run it, but they only got 108. Morning, Hope. I'm going to need some positivity out of you. Oh, wait. Jeez, Tennessee had. I don't know, Craig. I think that's. Let's see here. Auburn had 33 carries for 191. And Clemson went way over 200 as well. Bring this back up when we go on air here. 43. Jeez. UNC was 128. I know that because I just looked. K-State had 200. Arkansas had 295. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of the last 10 games, South Carolina has given up 200 yards, at least rushing. Oh, we got to get y'all the old-timey clip of the day here.
Three 677 1500.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
On November 10th, 1984, the eyes of the nation were on Williams-Brice Stadium. ABC's Keith Jackson and Frank Broyles were in town to call undefeated number 5 South Carolina hosting the number 11 Florida State Seminoles. As it turned out, Black Magic won out for the 9th straight week. Carolina rolled up a 38-7 lead and won it in the end 38-26. Let's hear from Coach Joe Morrison following the game.
Well, it was a good win for us, and I'm so proud of our young men. I thought they played well. They got themselves physically and emotionally and mentally ready to play the ball game. And I guess one area that we were very concerned about going into the football game was that of our special teams, and they just did a super job in the evening. And we kind of thought that we told them at halftime, as a matter of fact, that that could be the turning point in the ball game. But little did we know that it was going to happen so quickly. But that second half kickoff return, I thought, played a very, very important role in the ball game.
And that's our old-timey clip of the day, sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market with 3 locations: Lexington, South Congaree, and St. Andrews Road in Irma.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game
With Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
Eight zero 404 if you want to text in this morning. Certainly if you want to weigh in. Jamie Bradford joining us as he does each and every Monday. And Jamie, I just went back and looked the last 10 games. And I don't want to focus on the wrong things here, but I think there's a lot of little flaws right now. And I think it kind of starts more about this team being physical on both lines of scrimmage. And we've talked a lot about the run game, and South Carolina's got to establish the run. But let me give you a stat here. 6 of the last 10 games, okay, dating back to Tennessee of last year, 6 of the last 10 games, South Carolina has allowed 200 or more rushing yards. A 7th game, Auburn had 191 rush yards. And as you would expect, in those 6 games that I just mentioned, South Carolina 1-5. The one win is last week. They held Georgia State. Georgia State had 40 rushes for 200 yards, and that's the win. Tennessee last year ran for 247. A&M last year ran for 290. Missouri ran for 258. Clemson ran for 265. Georgia State ran for 200 in this past weekend, 65 carries, 295 yards. There's a disconnect somewhere here because when South Carolina, you got to be able to run the football in this league more than any other league. You've got to run the football and you got to stop the run. And right now, I think to your point, you're saying, and I kind of agree with you, the identity there offensively, not real sure what to do, and defensively, you hear those numbers. That's as big a concern, especially with this next opponent rolling in who tends to like to run the football.
Well, and props to you, by the way, for bringing that stat up because you're right. Most people have kind of given the defense, I don't know if it's a pass or if just the focus has been more on the offense because those issues have seemingly been more glaring, over the last couple of seasons. But the defensive numbers, as far as stopping the run, I think the word I would use is disappointing because, Bill, we beat every team in the country for Jordan Birch. We beat every team in the country for Zach Pickens. Boogie Huntley was recruited by everybody. Tonka Hemingway, a highly, heavily recruited kid. MJ Webb, a heavily recruited kid. Poor Jordan Strawn. Thoughts and prayers with him, and hopefully it's not as bad as what it sounds like it's maybe going to be. We could keep adding names to that list. They've got a bunch of really talented dudes. And the linebacking core, I attributed a lot of those issues last year to the fact that I didn't think the linebackers were just that good. And they played their rear ends off, but they just weren't as good. This year, that's been different. And now, of course, Mo Kaba goes down with an injury, and let's hope that's not as bad as what we're hearing it might be as well. So, they got to fix that, man. You can't take in the SEC, there's the haves and the have-nots, right? And you can't become a have until you beat the haves. Like, you just can't do it. You can't take a step up until you beat those teams. You go back to the Spurrier years. You go back to when Coach Holtz turned it around. You can – any season that's been a good season for South Carolina, they didn't get to 8, 9+ wins by just beating Vanderbilt or Missouri or back when Kentucky wasn't very good. You have to beat good teams. And good teams know how to stop the run, and they know how to run the football. So you probably can't beat those teams unless you can do those two things. And it's a carryover in year 2 under Coach Beamer, and that's disappointing. I know that Shane knows that, and this isn't like, I'm not going to sit here and beat him up over this, but they got to get it fixed up. And Clayton White's got to get it fixed, and they got to get it fixed quick because it's not going to stop with Georgia. It's not going to stop with Kentucky. It's not going to stop with A&M. All these teams focus on running the football, and we're going to have to focus on stopping it.
Yeah, I just very quickly I only had the 10 games that I looked at. I actually just backed it up. 2 more Power 5 opponents. Georgia last year, 31. This was kind of a stat, and granted, it's a year ago. Georgia last year threw the ball 35 times against South Carolina. They ran it just 31, but they had 31 rushes for 184 yards. Kentucky last year in that victory here at Williams-Brice had 44 rushes for 230 yards. So you start breaking it down by SEC or Power 5 opponents because you throw North Carolina and Clemson in there. The stats don't really get much better. That would be that. I think that's got to be just as much a concern now moving forward is getting that defensive line right. And at least I do think there is a level here, Jamie, of accepting, hey, at least on the defensive line, you're seeing Xavier McLeod. You're seeing a guy like Xavier Hardy, Desmond Yumi Zulu, Montique Rames, guys like that. But, man, you got to get those guys in. You're going to have to hold on to them because this defensive line right now, you just mentioned it. That's the other part. Pickens was a 5-star recruit. Birch is a 5. And by the way, I did think Jordan Birch played a little bit better, especially getting around the edge.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if we talk about scheme and offensive line. I'm not sure if it's not some kind of schematics or what the issue there is that is allowing teams to really just plow over the South Carolina defensive line and linebackers.
Yeah, to your point, man, like a few years ago, it was Zach Pickens that was going to come in and save this thing, and then Jordan Birch. Like, at what point in time, like, we got to get out of that mindset. Oh, we're recruiting better. We're going to be good in 2 or 3 years up there. I don't care about that. They play Saturday, Georgia. That's what matters. You know what I mean? Like, we'll worry about those guys when they get here and get developed in a couple of years. That's, by the way, I'm not saying that to you. I'm just saying, like, in general, like that's just. And I heard it the other day. Oh man, but we're recruiting so well on the defensive line. Oh, great. Well, 2026 should be a lot of fun to watch those guys go out there and perform. Then, I mean, it's disappointing again because these kids are really good players. Like they're going to the NFL, guys. Like we're going to see Jordan Burch in the NFL. We're going to see Zach Pickens in the NFL. You're going to turn on the TV and you're going to look back just as we do with the 2017 South Carolina offense. And we go, oh my God, that offense had 7 guys on it that are in the league. Why couldn't we score points again? Yeah. Like we're going to have those same questions in a few years. So yeah, they got to find the answers. I don't know what the answers are, but it is very disappointing knowing that in the off season, you felt like you upgraded your talent. Not only felt like you did upgrade your talent, and we kind of have the same issues that we've had. So they need to figure it out, and they got to do it quick.
803-404-6100. We'll continue on and get you a few more stats here as we continue on. Also get Jamie's thought on what was a wild weekend of college football. You know what? Hey, at least South Carolina lost to a top 20 team. You could be Notre Dame this morning. You could be Texas A&M. Scott Frost, I guess. How much money does he get the Ed Orgeron treatment? Did he ask what door and what time he was expected out of the building? So we'll get into some of that this morning as well. Because look, in the grand scheme of things, as I tried to explain to Austin, my son, South Carolina was a 9.5-point underdog by the time the game started. We can complain a lot about a lot of things. That game went about like Vegas and probably a lot of people expected. You can't say the same in South Bend, College Station, or in Lincoln, Nebraska this morning. I'll give you that stat again on Nebraska. Absolutely incredible stat. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jamie Bradford, and Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game's 15th Anniversary Rewind.
2008.
Bernie Madoff was arrested and charged with securities fraud in what would eventually become the worst Ponzi scheme in history. No Country for Old Men won Best Picture.
All right. We've once again got the air conditioner bumping in here because it just got cold. It is cold in here. All right. Let's go see if we can cut the heat on or something or build a mini fire. Good Lord, it just got cold. Woo. Cooling. I don't want this thing cooling. Stop. Just stop cooling. Ooh. I'm gonna lose my mind in there. I will really email in. Like, I'm not putting it. I'm doing it in my head. Under my, or else you're gonna see me do like a small heater. Yeah. Those windows get cold. Woo. I mean, it just went down to 69 degrees in here. Like, what? All right, let's see if that. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if that makes it heat come on. Good grief. All right. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to fight the air conditioner kicked on in here. I'm gonna have a mini heater this winter. I think this is definitely, as I get older, do not handle. It's an interesting conversation about the offense versus the defense. We'll close this door. Got a minute and a half. I don't know where, I don't know. I don't know if Joyner is hurt. I don't know if, but we kind of knew this. Yeah, I don't. Joyner. Oh wait, we go back. I mean, I think with Joyner, you kind of knew he was behind other wide receivers, and then you knew they were going to play Rattler at quarterback. I don't really know necessarily where he kind of fits in, and it is what it is, I guess. I don't know. Other receivers don't seem to be the problem. Get to some of these text messages here in a few minutes. A lot of you weighing in, and certainly with a lot of good points and a lot of good questions. Jamie Bradford joining us as he does each and every Monday to give his take, and a lot of takes to get into. Let's look around college football real quick, Jamie, because Alabama, Texas was wild. Bryce Young, I guess, it now has his signature moment for this season's Heisman campaign. Alabama finds a way to hold on there, and what was really, really an interesting day across the landscape of college football.
Yep, it was. Matter of fact, I was sitting out on my porch on later Saturday night talking to Michael Flint, and I said, "Dude, are you watching the Nebraska game?" He was like, "No, Nebraska sucks." I said, "Yeah, well, turn it on." And we caught the end of that, and then I kind of Googled it and realized, wait a second, this cat Scott Frost, he wants this thing to go down in flames, man. He's getting $15 million to get out of there in September, October 1. He's only going to get $7.5 million. You're going to have to drop a game. So I'm being facetious,
Yeah.
but so that was pretty wild.
Do you know, real quick, do you know that I mentioned at the top of the show that the last 2 weekends have produced two really wild stats. Last weekend, the stat of the weekend, and I think I told you this, since 1893. Did I give you this stat last week on Iowa?
I don't think so.
Okay. Since 1893, 7 times has a team scored less than 4 offensive points and had less than 170 yards total offense. Now, Iowa did this last week against, South Dakota State or whoever they played. 7 times has a team scored less than 4 offensive points and had less than 170 yards of offense and won a ball game. Iowa has 6 of those victories. Yale has the other.
God.
so,
Wow.
So that
Are
was
you serious?
That was the stat from last week. This week's stat going into Saturday night, Nebraska was 214-0 when scoring 35 or more points at Memorial Stadium. This morning, they're 214-1.
Well, and Scott Frost has $15 million extra in his bank account. So, everybody wins.
Yeah,
You know?
Unless you're a Nebraska fan this morning, I don't think you're winning.
Yeah.
Radio here in Columbia is entertaining. In Lincoln, Nebraska, where they care about football, I might have to flip over when I leave here and just see how things are going.
Yeah, I feel for this guy. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I've got a lot of respect for Nebraska fans. But they're not relevant in college football anymore, and I don't know what it's going to take to get them there. But so, what was more surprising to you? Certainly the upsets, but I'm going to leave Nebraska. And I'll be honest, it actually wasn't. When I saw Nebraska losing, like when you really start to think about it, you're like, that's not really that surprising. Like they've just been in decline. But like the top 10 games, Marshall going to Notre Dame, App State going to A&M, or the third one, the fact that Alabama only beat Texas by 1 point. Which of those was most surprising to you?
Marshall. Notre Dame. Now, I say that, I was watching Game Day. And by the way, that's a whole other topic that we could get into later about Pat McAfee. I really did enjoy Game Day. I don't sit in front of my television. I don't sit down and watch 3 consecutive hours. I'm messing around on the computer. I'm doing dishes. I'm fixing breakfast for the kids. I'm not full, but I like the Pat McAfee added to Game Day thing. He's going to be the eventual. He's got that silliness that he can replace Lee Corso, and you can transition there. But I was listening to them talk about Marshall, but Marcus Freeman seemed like a good fit. It seems like a good fit. Seemed like things were going to go well there. And for them to lose that game, his first home game there, oh boy, 0-3. I think it's something like the first time since the 60s that a coach has opened with, or a new coach has had 3 straight losses at Notre Dame. And that one caught me a little off guard. I thought Texas, it was an early game. You saw the crowd there. They were fired up. They were ready to go. I thought that they might be able to kind of make it, hold Bama to within that point spread. And obviously it came down a little bit more. A&M's got issues. Jimbo Fisher is now looking more and more and more like Gene Chizik. He lucked into a great quarterback that has made him a great coach, and Jimbo Fisher is getting paid a lot of money to not have a lot of results.
Yeah, and that's one of the things kind of relating this back to the Gamecocks that I think because I think there's a lot of fear in our fan base right now, Bill. When you looked at the season before it started, there was what we were hoping was a slim, realistic possibility that Carolina could open the season 0-4 in the league. I mean, with Arkansas on the road, Georgia, and then you got Kentucky, A&M as your first 4 league games. We knew what all those programs were capable of, and we thought, oh my God, if we don't squeak 1 or 2 out in there, this team could be 0-4. But as every season does, things change, and week to week, your view and vision of the college football landscape is a little bit different. And this week, think about how drastically different it was from last week. I mean, A&M beat who they beat, like Sam Houston State or something, 30-something-0 to open the season, and then they get beat against App State. And you mentioned they have issues. There's a lot of people out there who thought that all along. Hey, there's some issues with this program. They might get exposed a little bit this year. Also, after week 1. Florida was essentially almost the top 10 team after their upset of Utah, which wasn't that surprising to me because of the elevation difference. And now this week, back to, Florida's, maybe pretty good, but they're certainly not that good. Oh, but Kentucky, they're what we thought they were now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just going to change week to week, and I just think, as you relate it to our general conversation around here with the Gamecocks, that's how we're going to have to take it. We can't look too far ahead because I know people are fearful.
803-404-6100. We'll wrap up hour number 2 here. You're listening to Jamie Bradford, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007. And on November 12, 107.5 The Game went on the air. And since then, we have celebrated with you an SEC East title on.
Well, I got the heat going, and now it feels like kind of humid and not what you would hope for in here. I just turned this thing off. Oh, good. The heat pump is heating. There's a positive. Turn that heating and air thing off. Freezing in here. yeah, that was. What you got? Okay. Is this really? Yeah, really kind of for the week.
Yeah, it may change, but you just kind of hold on to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily as down on the offense, but definitely, there's definitely plenty to question there. What is this? Oh boy. Jamie says he got disconnected. If you can call back.
Hey, ask him if he wants to stay one more I don't know if he can. If he wants to do one more segment till 8:15, since this is going to be short, then just let me know. $7:52 on a Monday morning. Jamie Bradford, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen as we get you up, get you out the door, get you going on a brand new work week here. We creep a little bit closer to hopefully some fall weather. A little muggy over the weekend in South Carolina. I mean, the best way to describe it is they got mugged out in Arkansas. It's just a physical beating that they took, Jamie, that I think now the concern becomes if you lose, if indeed, and Shane Beamer is usually pretty positive about injuries, right? Like Christian Bill Smith might have been injured for who knows how long, and he was back on Saturday. Didn't really get a whole lot of touch. I think he only had one pass thrown his way. I might be misremembering if he got a carry in there, but he still is probably not 100%. So when Shane Beamer comes out and says the news isn't good on Jordan Strawn and Mo Kaba, you instantly think that's going to be a bad situation.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And Coach Beamer is generally pretty reserved about that stuff, Bill.
Yeah.
So when he says stuff like that, it doesn't sound good, and it sounds more than likely like it's probably season-ending, ACL type stuff. So they'll just have to, plug the next guy in and go, next best man up and figure it out from there. But yeah, injuries have certainly been something that have it's just unfortunate. I mean, we 4 years ago, 1 year, the whole defense was hurt. The next year, the whole offense was hurt. So we've seen it. We've seen it before. He's got to continue to get after it.
I think there was some positives on Saturday. I think we've got to be clear about that. And one of the positives in my mind and is quickly becoming a bright spot is Nick Eamon-Warry. That guy, you hope he continues to develop, and this isn't 2 games in the peak, but he looks like a guy who will anchor the secondary for years to come. He is physical. He hit KJ Jefferson. And I don't know if KJ Jefferson will be hit like that for the remainder of the year. Eamon-Warry is a guy who has, through 8 quarters of football, instantly stood out to me as a guy you can build that secondary around.
Oh, no doubt about it. He's a competent kid. He's coachable. You can see what Torian Gray has already been able to do with him. I can only imagine how much better he's going to get. Absolutely. He was fantastic on Saturday. You mentioned it earlier. Birch, I thought, was good. Had a couple that he missed. He kind of got sucked in a couple of times. But, with that offensive system, that's going to do it to you. He was really good. Zach Pickens was really good. And I said last week, and I stand by it, and now Carolina's going to have to be prepared for this because other teams are going to adjust and prepare. But after watching week 1, I said, yeah, the best receiver on this team is Juice Wells. And he is. Yeah. He's the best receiver out there. And now, guess what? He's on the radar, just like Jaheim Bell was on the radar coming into the season. And, we haven't found a way to get him the ball yet to where he can actually work and achieve something. And now Juice Wells is going to be on the radar, so they're going to have to get that figured out too moving forward because here come the top-ranked dogs Saturday.
We're going to keep Jamie for just a few more minutes to start the 8 o'clock hour. He's got to be out by 8:10, so we'll keep him just for some final thoughts there. There was a lot to get to this weekend, and there was, again, as we just said, some positives. Eamon-Warry, 11 tackles, 7 solo. Jordan Birch did have 10 tackles on Saturday, 4 solo himself, but there are some positive things, and we'll talk about that in a few seconds with Jamie. We'll get into a few positives you do take away because, again, Arkansas is a pretty good football team. I might have underestimated Arkansas a little bit going into the preseason SEC Media Day. So we'll talk about some positives as we kick off hour number 3. Jamie Bradford hanging around for about 5 more minutes.
We'll talk with him on the positive side of South Carolina football. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station, sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus Media station.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury.
Yeah, it's that's I mean that's the thing with name, image, likeness. You get that money, you still gotta perform. You still gotta perform. So we'll see. So, yep. All right, let me see here. All right, let me move around for a second here. Talk amongst yourself. There you go. Yep, talk about Nick Eman-Mori. Yeah, he is. I agree with that. Morning to York. All right. Boy. Let's see here. Yeah, we talked more about the strength, Adam. More about just the strength of the game. Well, sounds fun.
I told Jamie about the fact that he's going to apologize. I said, that's been happening. I said, what have people causing? You guys want to look at it? No, we didn't. Call your dropping. So I've already emailed Ed and Terry once about it. So I told Jamie that. I said,
Talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, your trusted family-owned dealership since 1961. Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads. It's Reaction Monday.
Feel free to let it loose.
Got thoughts about the game? Call or text us at 404-6100 or hit us up on Twitter at 1075 The Game. Or drive to Bill Gunner's house and yell your thoughts at him.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game. The early game with Bill Gunter.
So we have Bill doing some housekeeping right now. It's pretty fantastic. I'm like, a little to the left, a little to the left, a little to the right, up a little bit more.
And Jen Jensen.
Decorating the studio at 6:37 in the morning. You're listening to Bill Gunner and Jen Jensen. If you're watching on the live stream, you're seeing us entertain ourselves by trying to move a flag around and get it stuck to the wall, and that led to.
But then the right goes down a little bit. It's like, you gotta get it level.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
You're not going to believe this.
107.5
He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Guy was an interior decorator.
The Game.
$8:03 on your Monday morning, a Monday that's been reactionary and obviously has brought out a lot of opinions. Joining us for just a few more minutes, though, Jamie Bradford, as he does each and every Monday. And Jamie, there are positives right now to kind of take away from the weekend. We just mentioned one of them. Nick Eamon-Worry is a guy who is, we talk about bringing that dog mentality back to the defense, the physical. We're over here, we're talking about the defensive line getting shoved around. Eamon-Worry is a guy that you want on your defense because as of right now, through 8 quarters, he's a guy who brings that physical nature that we were just talking about. He stepped up and made some plays, and I think is a guy that you're going to be able to build around. Offensively, you were kind of mentioning it. Juice Wells now shows a little bit of that, okay, we've got that big play wide receiver if we can get him the football.
Oh, yeah, man, no doubt. I mean, and in addition to Eamon-Worry on that side, I mean, the other guy that I was most excited about from a physical standpoint, not to be the Debbie Downer of the positive segment here, but was Mo Kaba. I mean, so like, I mean, they have guys but Sherrod Green has historically been a fairly physical football player. Brad Johnson, Debo Williams is a physical kid back there. He's more set up, I think, to be a kind of a traditional 4-3 style guy, but he's fun to watch. And so, yeah, there are guys like that. That's the thing. And I think that's where a lot of this has been a little disappointing. I mean, they're only 1-1, but that one wasn't beautiful. And they have so many good players. There are a lot of good players on this team. Like, you can't try to tell me otherwise. There are really good players on this team. And I think that's what's been disappointing, but that's also what's positive, Bill. So if you want to be positive, here's one for you. And this isn't, me. I'm very realistic about what I see and think and feel about the Gamecocks. And I try to see every side, every angle of every conversation. And here's one that's going to probably throw some people off guard. Carolina's going to be in the ball game for the most part all day on Saturday. I'm telling you, there are some things that I think will get cleaned up. And when Georgia comes to town, that 26 spread, I don't bet, but if I was, I wouldn't take it. I'd take the Gamecocks. Like, I truly believe that this week they will be ready to go and they will have figured some things out, even with some of the injuries and stuff like that that's happened. So you want to talk about positivity? I think that Carolina's going to give Georgia all that they can handle. Now, they might pull away at the end, but I think they're going to give them all that they can handle and more.
I think, as we sit here on the Monday after this past weekend, South Carolina right now, by the time they go to Kentucky, likely should be 3-2. Whatever happens this weekend happens. Sure. Obviously, you'll have 8 quarters, 2 games to kind of get all those kinks worked out before you go into the home stretch there, starting with Kentucky. Obviously, Kentucky with a big win. You mentioned it there over Florida this weekend. The way it shapes up, Missouri does not look good. If you didn't see it, they got just trounced by Kansas.
They're not good.
Yeah, they got and look. Vanderbilt's scary just because that's going to be a dual threat quarterback in Mike White there. And we know what they
They scared South Carolina last year, but you should win those 2 games. That puts you at 5. And then you've got to find a way to get another one. Texas A&M right now, maybe Texas A&M's turned it completely around. Maybe they go to Max Johnson this week. Haynes King is now, his job's in jeopardy. Arkansas is going to end up being, I think initially I thought Texas A&M would be a more difficult opponent for South Carolina. Arkansas might have actually, because it was on the road. I think Arkansas said I didn't give them enough credit. You're right. There are players on this team, and it's some minor tweaks that I think can get you to that 6 or 7 wins. I don't think you just throw that out after one game right now.
No way. No, absolutely not. And we knew that. We knew that coming into the season. We knew that going into last year, Bill. Like, if you want to get bowl eligible and you want to continue to build your program back to where, Coach Spurrier kind of reset the established some actual expectations around here, you're going to have to beat teams that historically and theoretically you're not supposed to beat.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew that last year. I mean, when you looked at last year's schedule before the season started, tell me, honestly, anybody, tell me who said, oh, yeah, Florida, we're going to beat the hell out of them. And then, yeah, you know what? Auburn for the second year in a row, we've got them. I mean, they'd never been beaten Auburn before until 2020. So, I mean, like, nobody had that. Nobody saw that. But that's just what happens during football seasons. Things happen. It kind of unwinds itself and unravels like that. So you got to beat teams you're not supposed to beat. And just like coming into this season, how many people looked at this schedule and immediately said, okay, well, we've got 3 wins that are 3 losses that are very likely, A&M, Georgia, and Clemson. And then we've got 3 wins that are very likely, Georgia State, Charlotte, and South Carolina State. And we got 2 that are probable, Missouri and Vanderbilt. Everybody's done this. And the rest of them, they're toss-up games. Well, how would you adjust that now? I know one thing. I would adjust A&M out of that very likely loss to more of a toss-up game. But then we might have that game back in the very likely loss category before we get to it because they might score 180 points over the next 2 weeks. We just don't know how it's going to change. But just like it can change around us, it can also change within. And I think Carolina's got the personnel to do that. They just got to get it figured out.
No, you've got to get out, but I'm going to leave you with this question, and it'll be kind of final one for the morning. I think this is an interesting thing to follow, and we're only 2 games in. A lot can change. You talk about the development of the program, something you just said, winning 6, 7 games, going to a bowl game. Spencer Rattler is one that I'm keeping an eye on here. He's got a chance to be a really good quarterback. I'm interested to see because he has eligibility left. It's always been this assumption that he's one and done, and maybe he just views it that way, Jamie. Through 2 games, I don't think it's just a definite that he's a top 4 or 5 round draft pick. There are some things I've seen that he's got to work on. There's some things he's really good at. That, to me, and that continued storyline for this year, how it plays out with Spencer Rattler is really interesting because you get another year of him, whether it's with Marcus Satterfield or somebody else or whatever. That's a really interesting storyline, I think, to continue to follow.
Yeah, I mean, he's got it's all there, and there are some things that I saw Saturday after watching the game, and then actually I try to rewatch every single game, Bill, and so the things that we're going to talk about, when you have an opinion, it actually is informed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Twitter's a pretty informed place for opinions. Don't get me wrong, but I try to at least form my own. He's got to see it a little bit better than he's seeing it. And I think he'd be the first one to tell you. And that's not me trying to be I'm not trying to be anything more than what I am. But, there were multiple plays. And that's why I was saying a lot of people that want to hammer Satterfield, I get it. That's kind of the flavor of the week with him right now until it really looks good. And he's not above criticism. But also there was some pretty good stuff called out there. They just didn't see it. They didn't get it done. I mean, the seam route was open essentially all day. How many times, Bill, how many times did Juice and Jalen Brooks and not even just the 3 on Amari and Brown, all these other guys that were in man coverage, basically running go routes, post routes, seam routes downfield, they beat their guys left and right. Like that receiving group, you talk about a positive. Coach Beamer and Sat and Step have flipped that room on its head in no time. Like that is a good group of receivers. And you could look downfield and every one of them was beating guys left and right. So like, I like that, and if they can just get Rattler, they might have to switch it, get him to 3 steps, put that heel in the ground and let it go. Trust what you're doing out there. Let it go. Throw it to these guys. I think that this offense, and if that's going to be their method of, hey, look, we need to throw it to run it. I don't agree with that, but if that's going to be their method, then throw it. Throw the damn thing. Let it go.
We'll continue to talk about it a lot there. Jamie, always appreciate you coming in on Monday mornings and joining us. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
His name.
Oh, I don't know what that was. All right, we'll come
What'd
back.
you do, Bill?
I don't know. Crossed lines there. I know he's got a lot going on, but appreciate you, Jamie, for joining us. We'll catch up with him next Monday. A lot of you weighing in on the text line. If you want to get on the phone lines, 803-404-6100 is how you can be a part of the program. You're listening to Bill Gunner and Jen Jensen. It's the Monday morning edition of the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007, and on November 12, 107.5 The Game went on the air. And since then, we have celebrated with you
A trip to the Final Four with the men.
The South Carolina Gamecocks, for the first time in program history, are headed to the Sweet 16.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
Game over. Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
Happy anniversary to us on your home of the Gamecocks.
It's all these guys. They've been with us for a while. They believe in each other. They put up with me and go out and do it better the next day. They got the courage of a lion.
107.5 The Game.
And the new 107.5 The Game app.
Keeping your home clean, it's extremely important, especially this time of the year as we head into the fall and allergies and all the little bugs that can get out there and kind of affect the health of your family. So you want to keep those carpets, the rugs, the tile, the upholstery all clean. You want to make sure it's comfortable for you and your family to be laying around watching football on Saturdays or just relaxing on Sundays. That's why I use Zerorez with their patented ZR water technology. Keeps my home insanely clean. The carpet, the rugs, the tile, the upholstery, everything in the house stays clean, all because of Zerorez, and you should use them. I highly encourage that. Give them a phone call today, 803-262-4020. Get that cleaning scheduled. Take advantage of their fall sale. 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 is how you can get that great deal. You just need to mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. You can schedule with these as well, ZerorezColumbia.com online. Call them today or schedule online. That phone number, 803-262-4020. Or again, you can book through the internet, ZerorezColumbia.com. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned right now for only $119. But you got to remember to mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Zerorez with over 1,800 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating. They are the most highly reviewed cleaning company in the Midlands. And again, they do it with that patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep your carpet, your rugs, your tile, your upholstery, your house all insanely clean. 803-262-4020. Or again, you can schedule online, ZerorezColumbia.com. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards, is the right way to clean.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Well, my goodness, kind of busy out there for being a sunny Monday morning. We have a report of an injury accident, Ketterly Road and Hollingshed Road. Also, Clarkson Road at Martin Luther King Boulevard, still working that earlier accident. I-20 eastbound at I-20 malfunction junction, messing things up a little bit this morning. I-77 northbound at Fort Jackson Boulevard, an accident reported there. And also you'll find 1 Flat Springs Road at South Lake Drive. Partly cloudy today, 86 for the high. I'm trying to dip too deep into fall, I guess. 86 for the high today. Looking for a high of 84 tomorrow, 85 on Wednesday. Right now, though, 74. 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Amazon Prime Video. The new era of Thursday Night Football is only on Prime Video. 4 months ago, in a 19th birthday shout-out to Carlos Alcaraz, I called him the next big thing in men's tennis. Now he's the U.S. Open champion and the youngest ever world #1. Congratulations also to new women's champion Iga Świątek of Poland. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Thursday Night Football is now Amazon's Prime Night of Football because every Thursday Night Football game is now only on Prime Video. And to kick things off this Thursday, it's an AFC showdown as the Los Angeles Chargers travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Coverage begins at 4 p.m. Eastern. Not an Amazon Prime member? Sign up for a 30-day free trial to stream the game. The new era of Thursday Night Football is officially here, and it's only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. It looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Sponsored by Taco Bell. Taco Bell is the place for breakfast. Why? Because of the Bacon Breakfast Quesadilla. This quesadilla stuffed with fluffy eggs, crispy bacon, and a 3-cheese blend is here to complete your morning. Get your breakfast quesadilla at a participating Taco Bell location near you.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated
All right, we got some water. Going to try and work out today. Get myself back to a slight workout. Jamie's very good. I don't know if we can ever convince him to move to Columbia, though. I think he is a big fan of Charleston. Rightfully so. Hey, text messages. All right. Here we go.
The Early Game
With Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
The Early Game, 107.5.
The Game.
Eight 8:20 on a Monday morning. If you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100, how you can do that. Want to let you know, 107.5 The Game will be sending you to home football games. Listen throughout the football season to 107.5 for Carolina Honda Powerhouse Gamecock ticket giveaways. Carolina Honda Powerhouse, your source for Honda Power Sports. Visit them on the web, carolinahonda.com. We've listened to a little bit of Shane Beamer this morning. Here is Sam Pittman talking about the game. This was his opening statement on Saturday afternoon following Arkansas's 44-30 victory over the Gamecocks.
The respect for South Carolina, their program, Coach Beamer, that they play the game like it's supposed to be played. I was really proud of our offensive line. I thought we asked them to kind of control the game, and I felt like they did, at least until the last series of the first half there. We were a little slippery on pass protection, but I think the offensive line wore them down. We made a lot of big plays on defense, a lot of sacks, hurries, this, that, and other, and we gave up a lot. And 3 hands to the face and things like that. We certainly haven't had that in practice, but we had it out here today, and we've got to clean that up as well. But I thought the defense made some big plays, and Rocket Sanders and the backs ran well, and I thought we used our wideouts a little bit better today. They used all of them, and each one of them contributed certainly in the blocking aspect, but to the win as well. Feels really good to be 2-0. It feels really good to be 1-0 in the SEC.
That's Sam Pittman following the games. I think you hope that Shane Beamer is a lot like Sam Pittman, and that he seems Sam Pittman fits that program. I think he embodies what Arkansas football wants to be, and he's kind of embraced. And I think Shane Beamer, in a lot of ways, is very similar to that with South Carolina. South Carolina's going to have to continue to recruit. That's the bottom line. There's going to need to be some tweaks and some changes here and there, and you build a program. I don't, even with the transfer portal, I don't know if you necessarily thought that this thing would just completely get turned around overnight. There are some things that I think are positive. That's what Jamie Bradford and I talked about just a few minutes ago. There are some positives you can see. There are also some negatives. Obviously, right now, the biggest concern I have moving forward after 2 games and maybe even flashback through last year in 13 games, is this team physical enough? Are they going to be physical enough on the lines of scrimmage? If you're just tuning in, I gave you the stat just a little while ago. South Carolina in the last 10 games has given up 200 yards of rushing 6 times. That starts going back to Tennessee last year. Tennessee went for 247. A&M last year went for 290. Missouri went for 258. Clemson for 265. Georgia State, obviously, a week ago went for 200, and this past weekend, Arkansas went for 295. Auburn was 9 yards short of that with 191. Play calling, certainly there are questions about that, but there are some positives too. I think you do see South Carolina opening it up a little bit more. You saw the downfield shots. They're going to have to get this thing to click, and they've got to get to a bowl game. And there's a lot of time to do that. And everything that South Carolina, I think, initially wanted to accomplish, or you wanted for this season to be a success, is still on the table. There just needs to be some changes, and we'll see. I don't know if you can necessarily get more physical at this point in time. I feel like that's an off-season thing, but we'll continue to monitor that. 803-404-6100 if you want to be a part of the program this morning. Let's get out to the phone lines. The guy who's always positive, Gamecock Larry, up next. Larry, how you doing this morning? How you feel? Larry, you there?
Hello.
Yeah, okay, he's there. All right, he's ready to go.
Good morning.
Yep.
Good morning, Jen and Bill. Gamecock Nation. We're disappointed. But we could be Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Nebraska, and Florida, but we are not. There's a few things. I don't know why the officials stopped us on that first drive when they messed up, kept calling, had to call a timeout or something, officials' fault or something. I don't know, but we'll be okay. We're a couple years behind in the SEC in recruiting. Muskrat, I hope you stay in. Well, we're going to show you Saturday. We are upset at you. This is like Scott left New Hope. That's okay. We're going to be all right. I ain't going to make no predictions, but I'm going to tell you, we don't have SEC caliber talent right now. We may have 2 5-stars on defense and this and that, but we got a coaching staff that's going to be all right. Old Gamecock Larry may not be around to see it, but don't worry. Gamecock Nation, we're going to be okay. We are going to be okay. Come on, Muskrat. We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you. I'll tell you what, Saturday. I might even try to get a way to be out there, but I doubt if I can come because I can't even walk. But go Gamecocks. Talk to you later, Bill. You and Pat. Oh, love all of y'all.
Love you too, Gamecock Larry. Somebody might want to put an extra security detail for Will Muschamp with coming to town with Gamecock Larry on the prowl.
Might get rammed by a scooter.
Yeah. You get that little buggy at the front of the scooter, just run right into Muschamp's thigh.
He'll be
803-404.
in Nebraska interviewing.
Maybe. Who knows? 803-404-6100. Back out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Michael is up next this morning. Michael, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, y'all. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Yes, sir. I'm down with. I love Mr. Gamecock Larry. I love hearing him every freaking morning. I love his attitude. Thank you, Gamecock Larry, for being who you are. I know you're a diehard Carolina fan like I am. I was born and raised Garnet Black and forever be Garnet Black. My question to you guys this morning is: are you satisfied through the last couple of years of Steve Spurrier, the horrific Muschamp? Can you see it happening? The coaching staff and what they're bringing in. Am I going to get back excited like I did for the 3 seasons that we went 10 wins? Is that what you see in the future for us? A couple of years? Or what? Thank you, guys.
Appreciate the phone call, Michael. Remains to be seen. Taylor hits us up on the text line, 803-404-6100, says, Saturday answered my question of why we are so offensive line, defensive line heavy in the recruiting class. I'm trying to be patient, but it's hard. Yeah, the culture, I think there's more energy. I'm hesitant to say that this is a strong bit of adversity because, again, South Carolina was a 9.5-point underdog. Arkansas, I might not have given them enough credit. I was probably a little bit further down on Arkansas than maybe some were, but that's my mistake. That's poor research, we'll say, during the offseason as I made my SEC Media Day picks there over in Atlanta. With that being said, there are things that South Carolina has got to get better at. And to me, it's not as far off as maybe some think, but I don't know if you can adjust it in the remaining 10 games this year when, you've got your body work. You got 15 games now. The talent level for South Carolina, I don't think is awful. It's not win the East good, but it's probably middle of the pack. What the difference was on Saturday, honestly, was one team was really physical. One team was really, really physical. One team knows who they are. I mean, it's kind of that easy. One team on Saturday knew who they were. They knew what their identity was. Arkansas knows they're more physical than South Carolina. They knew it. They lined up, and they beat them on the lines of scrimmage. They ran for 295 yards, and they stopped South Carolina running the football. That's one thing that maybe you can change this year is learning who you are, what your identity is. The culture's different here, right? The culture, the vibe, everything about it, the fan base. But now the on-the-field action of who is South Carolina. When South Carolina shows up to play Georgia on Saturday and shows up to play Kentucky on October 8th or October 9th, and when Texas A&M, what is South Carolina's identity in those games? And that's where South Carolina has to fix. That's the next fix. And some of that is offensive coordinator. Some of that is strength and conditioning. Getting your guys strong enough to go and maul the opposition. And that's going to be the next step. We'll get back out to the Love Chevy phone lines when we come back. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The year was 2007. And on November 12th, 107.5 The Game went on the air. And since then, we have celebrated with you 2 College World Series titles.
Line drive, right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
Our 15th anniversary celebration on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, getting you better sooner.
Jackie Bradley makes the catch. South Carolina has done it. National title.
Happy anniversary to us on your home of the Gamecocks.
I don't really know how I feel. I've never been in this situation before, but I know one thing. I'm extremely proud for these players, these coaches, the University of South Carolina, national championship.
107.5 The Game.
And the new 107.5 The Game app.
Staying healthy
That's important. And if you've been suffering from problems with your back, with your shoulders, you've had some arm numbness, it's time to call Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper over at KC Chiropractic Center. With over 20 years of experience individually in the chiropractic industry, these two doctors are absolutely phenomenal at getting you out of pain and back to living the life you want to live. So don't wait any longer. Call today to get over there and to get worked on, to get the work that you need done so that you can enjoy life. 803-796-2424. KC Chiropractic, they file all major insurances. They work on all ages. So don't worry about if you feel old. Maybe you think that chiropractic work isn't for you, or that your son or daughter is young and maybe they got hurt playing cheerleading or sports or something. Let Dr. Pate and Dr. Roman Cooper take care of you. They've been dedicated to helping people find relief from various pain conditions over the last 20 years, and they're ready to help you do it, and they're going to help you do it without the use of drugs or surgery. Go visit my great friends, Dr. Pate, Dr. Roman Cooper over at KC Chiropractic Center. Give them a phone call today. Get that appointment lined up, 803-796-2424. It's a pay-as-you-go type system. They're going to make sure that you're satisfied with the service you're getting, and that's important these days, working for their patients. 803-796-2424. That's KC Chiropractic Center.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Kennerly Road at Hollingshed Road. We do have an accident there. Still working that one.
All right. Phone lines are lit up. Show is rolling along. Josh Yelman is texting me. I think this is a good point. I think that's a very valid point there, Kelly. I don't think I'm not trying to bash. I don't think anybody is. Spencer Rattler's a really good quarterback, and I think this is the question. Is he a definite now? He's not a first rounder. He doesn't look like through 2 games. He doesn't look like a first rounder. Now, does he view himself and say, okay, if I'm a top 3 round quarterback pick, I'm going top 4 round pick? Like, what is his expectation? Because I think that's the interesting question. If you're telling me that South Carolina can go 7-5, but you can get Spencer Rattler for another year, and you can allow certain guys. Now, maybe you have transfers. Maybe you have transfers. Would Luke Doty sit behind him another year? I don't know. You know what? But I think it's a valid question. Valid. That's interesting. Old Barton Rare. Huh, interesting. There you go. A little bourbon discussion. Let's play number 6 when we come back. Just play that. Yeah. We handled it. I adjusted. We're good. He's good. I think Samson, Samson's just like everybody else. He needs to develop. Wide receivers, I don't think is the problem. I mean, I don't think that, you're getting plenty with, I think you're getting plenty with the wide receiver position. It's a matter right now of really kind of more what you guys are kind of talking about right here. You got to establish the run. And, these are some great points. I don't think that Lloyd is getting, who knows? It's only 2 games, and he knows that he's finally healthy. But y'all are right. I mean, you got to come out and try to establish the run, kind of like they did in the bowl game, and see if it can play out. But to go back to Bake's question, I don't think that Landon Sampson's day will come, but they're okay at wide receiver right now. Wells, if you can get Rucker back, kind of go from there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I agree too. Incorporating him into the run game a little bit. That was a good call.
With them, I wouldn't say more impressed. I mean, we knew how talented and big and physical they were. But I mean, I'd like to think that we played, pretty physical as well. And we've got to continue to the depth defensively. I mean, I'm not making excuses because injury is a part of it. But when you don't play with R.J. Roderick, you don't play with David Spalding, you lose Cam Smith during the game, you lose Mo Kaba during the game, you lose Jordan Strawn during the game. I mean, if one of our defensively positions with the least amount of depth is defensive end. And therefore, you're seeing Gilbert Edmond and Tyreek Johnson and Terrell Dawkins and Jordan Birch. And I'm not making excuses, but we got worn down in some ways as well. But I thought our kids battled their butts off. And, we've got to continue to play physical, which I thought we did. I mean, Zach Pickens, I thought, was an animal out there today, just a hard. I mean, you can tell everything about Zach Pickens, but just watching him on those extra points. I mean, he's coming through and almost had a chance to block a couple extra points just with his effort. So we've got to continue to develop depth because part of the plan was to, try and wear these guys down and play our players and keep our guys fresh and get it to the fourth quarter and find a way to win it. And we got it to the fourth quarter and we just didn't play well, turning the ball over and not being able to get, stops when we needed to as well.
As Shane Beamer talking about the physical nature of the game on Saturday and also talking about defensive depth. But let me just point something out here. South Carolina, and those injuries came in the first half with Strawn and I can't exactly remember the time that Kaba got hurt. South Carolina's defense, while giving up yards in the second half, one of those Arkansas touchdowns is 9 yards. It's a 9-yard touchdown drive, 2 plays, 9 yards because of the onside kick that got run all the way back to the 9-yard line. And 2 points obviously come off of safety. So, you put your defense in a really bad spot there, and then obviously a very questionable safety. Thankfully, it doesn't have an impact on the game to where we're really discussing it. But, a questionable safety. The defense also, just for the record, and we've talked a lot about the run defense this morning. The KJ Jefferson, the touchdown to make it 28-16, Arkansas had to earn that. 14 plays, 59 yards. Now, the problem is you couldn't stop the run, but they didn't give up a chunk play. 14 plays, again, 59 yards, and then the next touchdown was a 5-play, 41-yard drive to make it 35-16. But while we talk about the depth, the defense, the problem was the defense couldn't get off the field. Right? That's the main problem that you had there. They couldn't get off the field. Arkansas was going to get 3 and 4 yards basically whenever they wanted it. If Arkansas decided they needed to get 3 yards, they were getting 4. If they needed 4, they were getting 5. You go back and you look at the third down conversions in this ball game, and Arkansas was 9 of 16. South Carolina was 3 of 10. But it's not like Arkansas was just physically mowing South Carolina down for 80-yard drives. One of them's a 9-yard drive. One of them is the safety. That's 10 points. Again, it doesn't really make a difference because you still lose. But you take away the onside kick, you take away the safety, it's 34-30. I know that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all, but I will give the defense a little bit of love there. 803-404-6100. Out to the Love Chevy phone lines we go. Jason is up next. Jason, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
I'm pretty good, Bill. Pretty good. A little bit better now. Looking back at the game, I'll tell anybody this. people are underestimating Arkansas. That's a darn good football team. That might be, compared to Georgia, that might be the best offensive line we're gonna play all year. In my opinion. That being said, I'm proud of our effort. We still got a ways to go with the depth, but Bill, just get me back to the sequence. We had a chance in the second half. It was 21-16. We stopped Arkansas on fourth down. And I guess you could give me a summary. I don't know if you watched the game again. What happened on that series where we got the ball back? Because I think that was the difference in the game to me. I mean, we lost the game, but we the defense got off the field and gave the offense the ball back. And those series of plays, that series, it almost like it took the life out of the team. But if you can go back over that, because I do think we have a chance. Rattler missed some throws wherein I was watching the game with wherein he could have just stepped in and just trust what he saw and just threw it. Because that late interception he threw, he had either Stockton or thing. If he'd just put it there right when he saw it, it's a touchdown. It's just a couple of those things. But I'm a little more optimistic than people think. It's just, man, I mean, you can't lose a Cabo, you can't lose a Strong in week 2, and it's just you're getting snake bitten again with some injuries. But I'm still optimistic. I think we still got a chance at some things, and we'll take what we got this weekend. But you have a good one, man.
You too. Appreciate the phone call there. It should be pointed out. And again, look, I like to think that we've pointed out the positive and the negative in this ball game on Saturday, because there were some positives. The negative is South Carolina's got to become more physical. I think really at the core, South Carolina's got to become more physical. But if you want a positive out of it, South Carolina does score to cut it to 21-16. And then Arkansas goes on a drive highlighted by the very first play, a 47-yard run by Sanders. But South Carolina holds them. South Carolina gets off the field. 4th and 1 at the South Carolina 19. KJ Jefferson can't get the first down. South Carolina's got the ball back about halfway through the third quarter there. I'm not exactly sure of the exact time that they get the turnover on downs. South Carolina's got the ball back down 5 about midway through the third quarter. They've been down 21-3. They get the stops they need. They finally get a turnover, is turnover on downs. And South Carolina's got it with 6:47. Here it is. South Carolina takes over the possession of the football. 6:47 to go in the third quarter, down 5. They're right there, but they go 3 and out. There's an incomplete pass. Juju runs for 3 yards. It's 3rd and 7, and Bumper Pool makes a play, and South Carolina ends up on 4th and 22. And they got a punt. And then Arkansas marches it down. 14 plays, 59 yards, boom, 28-16. South Carolina, Marshawn Lloyd fumble. Arkansas goes 5 plays, 41 yards, boom, 35-16 ball game. And then South Carolina throws an interception. South Carolina's down 5. Punt, fumble, interception, it's 35-16. There was, and I agree. Rick on our live stream says onside kick hurt. I agree with that. Questionable. Shane Beamer took some chances. Some work, some don't. The onside kick, you're right. I wasn't a fan of. Hey, if they recover it, okay, maybe we're talking a different thing there. At least we're not talking about the onside kick. 803-404-6110. Come back. We'll get to Gary, Barron, and Hank. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Extra Point with Pearson, Preston,
and the guys from Gamecock Central.
If you can let Spencer hurt the opponents enough doing things like that, it maybe actually ends up slowing their outside rush down a little bit, because they're saying, we got to keep this guy in the pocket, contained, like you said.
That passed the smell test? Yeah, that passes. That passes for sure. So what Arkansas, to translate that into practice, you probably see a lot of scramble drills, live scramble drills, intentional scramble drills, whether wide receivers are breaking off their routes or continuing running, focusing on covering after the play breaks down.
Get the point? The Extra Point.
You always hear me talk about heating and air, and that is you never think about your heating and air unit until it goes out, and you're either extremely cold in the winter or you're overheated in the summer. And then all of a sudden your heating and air unit, well, that's a big part of your life. Don't let it be only because it went out. Go ahead,
take advantage of a fantastic deal going on right now with my good friends at AAA Heating and Air. Listen to what I got to tell you here. Due to upcoming government regulations, the current HVAC inventory at AAA Heating and Air cannot be sold after December 31st. They got to clean out their warehouse. They got to get rid of these existing systems that they have there, and you are in luck. You get to take advantage of this. There's no better time than right now to call AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. No deals will be turned down. And here's the absolute best part. AAA Heating and Air guarantees financing. So I understand the last few years have been kind of difficult for some people. Maybe people's credit is not where you'd want it to be, and you think, man, I can't get that. That sounds like a great deal, but I'm not going to be able to get qualified for financing. AAA Heating and Air guarantees financing. Call them today and get that new HVAC system, 803-677-1500. You can call today. You can enjoy new comfort as quickly as tomorrow. You just need to also make sure you tell them that Bill Gunner sent you. So call AAA Heating and Air. Take advantage of this great opportunity to upgrade the heating and air system in your house by getting a brand new unit through AAA Heating and Air. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
And one last look at your traffic conditions out there this morning. Gadsden Street at Hampton Street in downtown Columbia. We do have an accident reported there. Also, I-26 eastbound at Bush River Road. The shoulder is blocked. Be cautious going through there. St. Andrews Road at Bush River Road, an accident, as well as Flat Springs Road at South Lake Drive. And your forecast for today, 86 will be the high, a little less humidity for the next few days, 85 Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, though, 75 at 107.5.
Sponsored by Indeed.com. Summer is winding down, but business needs keep ramping up. Check out Indeed, the all-in-one hiring solution that helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, the most trusted and reviewed cleaning company in town. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right. We'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
803-630-5929 for more details.
Swept by warm trade.
Yep, there's a lot. There's a lot from that game. Oh. All righty. Where are we at here with this? That's what he's talking about. Then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like y'all said, not great. Let's play 13 coming. How long is 13? You didn't write that, is it? I don't want to play anything too long because we'll get these phone calls. Play that coming in and see if we can get these 2 calls and call it a day and get your rear end out of here to go fetch the dog.
The Early Game.
With Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
On your home of the Gamecocks. The Early Game.
107.5 The Game.
Yeah, I think we made progress this week. I mean, I know the rushing yardage wasn't what it was, and I'm sure some people say, well, a lot of those passing yards were in garbage time. I disagree. I mean, that was a ball game, and we got the onside kick and felt like we had a chance to go down there and score and get another onside kick and go try and win this thing. So, I mean, they were heating us up and bringing pressure at the end of the game, and we were making plays. So it wasn't like we were getting beat by 4 touchdowns and they're just letting us complete passes. I mean, we made some plays in the passing game throughout. We showed that we can do that, but now we've also got to be able to run the football as well. So, we told our team after the game last week, we're better than we were, but we're not as good as we're going to be. And I feel that way right now as well. We lost today, but I do feel like we're farther along offensively than we were, but we're still not as good as we're going to be.
Shane Beamer there after the game on Saturday talking about offensive identity and what he felt or what he saw from his offense. 803-404-6100, just a few minutes left. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Gary is up this morning, who's waited patiently. Gary, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Doing great, guys. Good morning. I'll be quick. I know we're kind of up against it here, but first thing, I didn't really like the Jaheim Bell with the carries. I don't really think those are smart plays during the game at all. It's looking like Juice Wells is starting to be himself the proven guy, like the fast, twitchy guy, the guy you can put out in space. I think if it was him versus Amarian Brown on those deep shots that Spencer Rattler missed, I think at least one of those would have connected. He looks like the better receiver that can adjust to the ball. Put Jaheim Bell back in his rightful spot at the tight end. Marshawn Lloyd, that fumble, a lot of that is probably just lack of carries from missing a whole year with injury. This is just my opinion. I've never really been a fan of the 4-2-5 defense. I'm not saying it might be time to scrap it, but it doesn't really. I've never been a fan of it. And shout out to the Sun Belt Conference. Maybe that win against Georgia State wasn't as of a fluke as everybody thought. They took North Carolina to the wire. Appalachian State beating Texas A&M. Marshall beating Notre Dame, and Georgia Southern beating Nebraska. So and then last year you got Coastal beating BYU. So I don't think we need to be discussing those guys anymore. But thanks, guys, and have a good day.
Appreciate the phone call, Gary. Certainly. Let's stay on the phone lines real quick. Hank, got about a minute left. Hank, what's on your mind this morning?
Yeah, not much. I was calling. I do think the team will continue to get physical. This team, you got to recruit, but I think this team will continue to get physical. There's a lot of it's mindset and complementary football. If you sustain the drive on offense, you give the team, when the defense had time to rest, they bowled up a good bit because, like you said, Arkansas didn't just march down the field. They always made them work for their touchdowns. I think those are some things that we need to have happen, and we just need the OC to get a little bit more feel. He got good plays. But, when it goes 21-16, that would have been a great time to go back to the running game as he did in the second quarter, which gives your defense a chance to rest, not 3 and out.
Appreciate the phone call, Hank. Yeah, I mean, look, South Carolina, as we just said, there's things that South Carolina's definitely got to improve upon. There's no doubt about that. Arkansas is a good football team. That's what I take away from the weekend. Arkansas is better than I gave them credit for. We'll see if they can challenge Alabama in the West. Who knows what exactly Alabama is after this past weekend. But we'll see if Arkansas is a legitimate challenger. They get Missouri State this weekend. They'll roll over Missouri State, and then we'll see where Arkansas goes from there. South Carolina, what Lou Holtz said is probably true a long time ago. It's never as bad as you think. It's never as good as you think. Okay, something similar to that. I don't think that South Carolina is quite as bad as some want it to be. I also think South Carolina's got a long way to go. So it's both sides of the coin. We'll continue breaking this down and analyzing. Shane Beamer tomorrow at 1:30. We'll get some more information from him. Pearson Fowler's up next. For Jamie Bradford, for Jen Jensen, you've been listening to The Early Game, the Monday morning edition on 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL
with live local radio.
107.5 The Game.
All right, everybody. Jen's got to run out. Big vet trip for the puppy dog. Got to go.
Yeah.
Go get him cleaned up.
Something like that.
There you go. Nothing like getting the dog in the car. Do you do it with peanut butter or a treat, or do you tell them we're heading to the park?
No, pretty much. If she sees that she's able to get in the car, she's good. Yeah,
Okay.
we have no problem. No convincing necessary.
Everybody, wish Jen well, and we will see y'all tomorrow morning. Take care.
You